Nettles' ability to hit when it mattered, to hit the big home runs, and to be really the heart of those winning teams of the 70s.
Guy was magic.
Not only myself talk highly about him. I think every ball player. Great Nettles not in the Hall of Fame, but I think he should be there because I see play like him every day.
Look at it this way sometimes. George Brett is in the Hall of Fame. Wade Boggs is in the Hall of Fame. But if you were approaching the 7th game of a big series and you had your choice, Nettles would probably be your Boggs. It gives you an idea of really what a quality third baseman Nettles was.
He was one of the third one we have. I tip my hat off.
Another establishment of years. Yankee that he holds most dear.
In the 22-year play, and people associate me with the Yankees. Be a part of that tradition. It's hard to put it in words. I feel blessed to have been able to play for the Yankees.
Hold a special place in Yankees history. Not the flashiest, not a superstar, simply a man who delivered with both his bat and his glove, and one of the most important years of the 70s. They called Greg Nettles Puff because of his ability to instigate a prank or confrontation and then somehow vanish from the scene like a puff of smoke. Well, there's one place Nettles' disappearing act will always come up short, and that's from the hearts and minds of thankful Yankees fans. For the Yes Network, I'm John Sterling, and thanks for watching Yankeeography. Proceeding has been
Children are the greatest.
Want to stop hair loss in its tracks? Through Hims.com, you can explore a range of options with finasteride and minoxidil so you can grow thicker, fuller hair in just 3 to 6 months. Stop hair loss and regrow hair at Hims.com.
When I'm working in the digital space and you incessantly have distractions that are popping in, you see email alerts, something's pressing, there's an invoice that's due or a contract that needs to be signed. It is hard even for a moment to be distracted and throws off your workflow. Remarkable seems to sort of create a focus in a sense. You don't have those distractions. You're still tied into the digital realm. You can still engage and focus. As a business owner, I find it's as practical as I do find it as an architect.
Get your paper tablet at remarkable.com today.
When finding your perfect pair of glasses is made easy and affordable, you can spend your time doing other things, like riding bikes, jumping off cliffs, or just enjoying the view. But it all starts with seeing, and that's where Warby Parker comes in. Visit a store or try 5 pairs for free.
Yes, designed to be worn untouched.
you're going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the world's youngest person that usually
But think
goes.
about it like this. When you become the world's oldest person, every day that you lived, you get to celebrate beating more people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just collecting victories right and left. And, Michael, you love to collect victories.
I do like victories. I do.
You know,
now, speaking of victories, let's talk about Citi Field last night. And we'll put this under the heading of Diamond Notes. How about that, guys?
Why not?
Brought to you by London Jewelers and driven to you by Nissan. That's a nice win for the Mets because they turned him loose on 3-0 after the Orioles had come back. And one quick aside, nobody's bullpen is good. No one. So they bring in Sir Anthony Dominguez. He grooves a 3-0 fastball to Alvarez. And
Is he
Alvarez
knighted?
Crushes it. Crushes it. That's a big win for the Mets. And it's the rare Mets win where Yankee fans go, you know what? LGM. Let's go Mets.
Yeah, why not? Because that's the team you're battling with for the division, the Baltimore Orioles. And I thought it was important for Alvarez to get it too, because he's had a very strange season. That's only his 6th home run. He had 25 last year in like 365 at-bats. Now he's had over 200 at-bats on only 6 home runs. So, yeah, partially it's been injuries that have held him down. But that's a guy that I think can really help carry this team because they don't have a great starting staff. They don't have a great bullpen. But they are, I think, potentially, they can be an outstanding offensive team, and I think that really has to carry them. So if it's not going to be Lindor, if it's not going to be Alonso, Alvarez can be every bit as potent offensively as those guys have been able to contribute. And if they can get a big last 6 weeks from him, I think you can get more from Martinez, who only has 12 home runs now. I think the offense is going to be what's going to carry them past the Braves and get them into the postseason.
It's weird, though. Did you watch it live, Don?
Yeah.
I thought it was thrilling. I mean, just the... I'm not a big fan of celebrating before you come out of the box, but everybody does it. And that ball was way gone.
Yeah.
And then the way they shut the lights off at Citi Field, the way the team reacted. Some wins have a little more legs than others. That's a nice win for the Mets. There's no other way you could look at it. So they're 2 back in the loss column from the Braves. I think that the Padres and the Diamondbacks are pulling away, although the Mets could certainly make some noise on their road trip. That starts after the 3-game set in Citi Field. They have 4 against the Padres, 3 against the Diamondbacks. They will declare then if those 2 teams have to worry. But if those 2 teams take care of business against the Mets, then the Mets have 1 team they have to beat, and that's the Braves. So every time you can win a game like that, and I also love it was a great broadcast moment too. Gary said what every play-by-play guy said, 3-0, would you green light him? And Ronnie and Keith both said no. And obviously Mendoza green-lighted him. He hit a home run. It was just, everything was great about it. Even as somebody who's not a Met fan, Don, you must have been happy. I mean, you must have been jumping up and down nude.
Sitting there with Marco, and yeah, it was right off the bat. And listen, it's not my style to celebrate in that way, but even no one really can have a problem with the way he was slow out of the box. That was way gone.
Way gone.
It was way gone.
Way gone.
Right?
And it was a great celebration.
So usually you kind of get caught up in, well, what if it's the top of the wall? Now we could add a runner in.
No, there was no chance.
In scoring position. He hit it 425 feet, and it was against the wind, too, because it was a windy night. That was a bomb, an absolute bomb of a home run. It was a big home run because after what had happened on Sunday and what's been happening lately with these blown leads, and we saw it against the Oakland A's when they blew the 5-0 lead, is that would have been another game where they were up comfortably, it felt like, and then the Orioles chip away, and then you had the balk and then the home run, and they kind of took Peterson out of it a bit, and it would have just been another really... I think it really stabilized things. Every game is so important, and that's a really good team in the Baltimore Orioles. So that was a lot of fun last night. And then the interesting debate, and I get you want to try to get a base runner, but Michael, I'm of the belief that if you get your pitch to hit it. Like, it's nice to walk, and it's nice to manufacture the go-ahead run, but you know what? I know he hasn't had a great offensive season, but he is a home run hitter.
In the game.
So if you see your pitch, hit it. And you could make the case he really didn't see his pitch. It was kind of inside, but boy, he turned on it. It was a monster hit. So I was very surprised that both Keith and Ron would have the red light on him. Why not give him the green light in that situation to try to win the game?
And I think you have that faith in your batters too, that they will swing at a good pitch. It won't be a ball 4. Because a good hit, like you give a green light to a great hitter, if it's ball 4, they're not going to swing at it. So you accomplish both of the things that you want to do. And if somebody happens to groove one down the middle, and this wasn't down the middle, it was a nice piece of hitting, but it was a strike. Thrilling moment for the Mets. And I do want to, I mean, some people on social media, but not a lot. I'm a Yankee fan. It's tough to root for the Mets. Well, then you're a fool. Because these 3 games, you have to be the biggest Met fan of all time. Because the Orioles winning and losing is going to decide whether or not you finish first in the American League East. You all have to be Met fans today. Sorry. Now, I have a quick quiz for Peter. It was only for Peter because I think Don knows the answer. Today is Met broadcaster Ron Darling's birthday. Who's older, Ron Darling or Michael Kay?
I would say Michael Kay.
Ron Darling's older by 1 year.
Oh.
That surprised me because he looks terrific.
Well, you both do.
No, he looks great.
Why?
You look
was
great
in
as
Shallow
well.
Hal?
Because what, Don?
Because he was in Shallow Hal.
That's a great point.
No, because he's a handsome guy. I'm not. And
You were in Grown Ups too. I mean, let's roll.
Oh, by the way, I watched Grown Ups 2 recently.
What'd you think of the performance?
Well, no, you were great. That movie is horrifying.
It's not.
No, it's not a great. It's not Citizen Kane, but for what it is, it's great.
No, it's.
You didn't like the soft serve ice cream scene?
It's the one where David Spade's like grown up kid comes back.
Yes.
No, it's one of the worst pieces of crap I've ever seen.
Well, but
with all due respect, I'm a Sandler guy. What did Sandler make that movie? Like,
Yes, it's all him.
Give it away.
He wrote it. It's his.
Yes, he wrote my lines when I was on set.
Well, that's unfortunate because I'm a huge fan of Sandler, but that is, I mean, it's like, every scene is campy to the point of like.
But that's the purpose of it.
Thank you, Don. That's the movie.
No, but seriously, he took, because there's really no script. It's not really about, neither of the 2 movies are about anything. It's let's get all my old buddies for movies. Let's have me be married to Selma Hayek, and let's just have fun. That's all that it is.
Because if I was Adam Sandler, right?
I don't know that you're arguing against me.
Well, but it works. The formula works. Don's right. It's a formula.
I didn't go into it. So keep in mind, I just go into it thinking it's an Adam Sandler movie with a really good cast. I'm going to watch the movie now.
Yeah.
When I went through it that way, and I'm comparing it to other movies with Adam Sandler and other people.
The other movies had the objective of maybe like
good.
Click. No, but Click, I think, was trying to do certain things. Check a few boxes, right? I mean,
sure. Check my box.
But this was
it hit you. It affected you
it
deep.
Did.
But I don't think this was to do anything other than just be a campy kind of yo-yo, have fun.
Yo-yo, yes.
You know, what every time you go out to eat,
it's the worst Sandler movie.
No, the one where he's the devil is the worst.
Yeah,
Little Nicky.
Oh, that's the worst.
That's really bad. And that had a purpose.
And it was still bad.
It had a plot. This didn't even have when a movie doesn't have a plot, Peter, then you got to be in for something else.
See, now if I was Sandler, like I would do just what I would write movies and say, okay. The Michael Kay character is married to Jennifer Aniston, and I would write it that we'd have a makeout scene. And I mean, I know it's childish. This way, you could be married and kind of like,
make out with other women.
Make out with other women,
so deep,
and it's on your job.
So you really took us on a deep journey, man. I didn't know you were going to go, but there we were, making out with other women. Salma Hayek in that movie is, I mean.
Well, what movie is she not?
No, I know. You're right. I mean, she's an all-time GOAT, but it's just wow.
All right, so I was thinking about this.
What do you say?
So the Orioles are a deeply flawed team.
Yes.
Their bullpen is dreadful. I mean, Yankee fans rightfully are complaining about Clay Holmes, but the Oriole bullpen is terrible. Terrible. You're going to trust Craig Kimbrell in the World Series? And I just look around, and even the teams that you think are good, like the Yankees have, I think, the second best record in baseball. They're an imperfect team. The Orioles are imperfect. The Phillies are imperfect. The Dodgers are imperfect. The Milwaukee there's not that one team that you go, oh, yeah, that's the team that's going to the World Series. So I know that if you're a fan of a certain team, you're going to say, their problems are going to be accentuated in your mind, and you're going to go, wow, my team's awful. But your team's not. And I'm not trying to, like, throw any shade at anybody or taking shade away from anybody. Every single team is seriously flawed, and maybe that's what baseball wants. The Orioles have lost a lot. The Yankees' last 50 games, that's a third of the season. You know what their record is? They're 23-27.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they're sitting atop the American League East, so you can scream all you want. I keep seeing on social media, they're not good enough to win. Really? Well, who is? I'm going to tell you the one team that scares me, guys. The Astros. They have it in their DNA. Yeah, they know how to win. They've done this without Kyle Tucker, and they've got Josh Hader in the bullpen, who's one of the best closers. That's a team that scares me.
Well, as they should.
You know what baseball is, Michael? You know, baseball's kind of like hockey. You know, its regular season is what it is. You don't put a lot of stock into it because you just want to make sure you're healthy and hot once you get to the postseason. And once you get there, the Florida Panthers were an amazing team, and they were among the best team, but they weren't the best team. I think people looked and said that's a dangerous team because what they had accomplished the year before, going to the Stanley Cup final, kind of like the Houston Astros that had the pedigree of making a run. But, you know, nobody wants to say, because baseball's regular season was always the most important because it was 162 games. Not everybody made the playoffs. But now with that third wild card, Michael, and now that they've added extra games to the wild card, it's like, hey, just get through the 162 and just make sure you're hot and healthy once you get to the postseason. That's the formula the Diamondbacks had last year. That was the formula that Philadelphia had the year before that. You know, let the Mets go out there and win 101 games. All of a sudden, they got cold at the wrong time and then exited really early from the playoffs in 2022. We saw that with the Boston Bruins a couple of years ago. Runaway best record in the history of the regular season in the NHL. Bang, bounced in the first round. Like, that's kind of what baseball is now. Just survive, get through the regular season, make sure you're healthy in September, make sure you're good in the right positions once you get to the playoffs, and then everything's on. So we could sit here and break down every single day, every single series, like it's just so important. But isn't it time maybe to get out of that mindset? Mets aren't a great team, Michael. I watch them every day. You talk about flaws, but yet because of the structure of Major League Baseball and how bad the National League is, the Mets can't help but stay in this race and maybe find a way to get in.
That's why, if it's your team, and if you're a Yankee fan or a Met fan, you're picking at all the negatives of your team. I get it. That's what fans do. But don't get down because Clay Holmes has blown 10 saves because you're in first place. Now, you could say, well, if he didn't blow those 10 saves, Yankees, by the way, I looked it up, they lost 7 of those 10 games. So,
which is not nothing.
That's not nothing. Yeah. I mean, you'd be ahead of the Orioles by 3 or 4 games right now if you even saved 3 of those 7 or won 3 of those 7. So that's not nothing. But you can't get too down because the Orioles are in the same boat. The Orioles have been as bad as the Yankees over the last 50 games. Each team could kick themselves in the rear end and go, you know what, we could be running away with this. But still, with all the Yankee problems, they have the second best record in baseball. And with all the problems that the Mets have had of late, they're just 2 games back in the loss column from a team that I think has a chance to lose. I mean, they just lost their third baseman. They just signed Gio Urshela. I mean, this is a team that's running on spare parts. I'm talking about the Braves. So the Mets do have a chance. So I know you're looking at your side of the lawn. You're not looking over the fence. But over the fence is pretty bad, too. Pretty ratty. A lot of crabgrass.
Well, that's why I was asking before we went on vacation, the last time we were all collectively together.
I love those times.
Who do you fear as a Yankee fan? Because in order for you not to win, somebody has got to beat you. So who is it? Now, I think Houston is legit because of their history against the New York Yankees, their history of finding a way to navigate through the postseason. But we'll watch the Guardians this week. The Guardians have been one of the best teams in baseball, Michael, but are the Guardians going to beat you? Are the Twins going to beat you? History tells you no.
The only team that scares me is the Astros.
The Astros, who you may not even face depending on what ends up happening, all right? They still have to win their division in order to be able to make the playoffs, and I think they will, but who knows? They will look like one of the worst teams in baseball when you face them earlier in the season.
The Astros in August are 12-4 so far. 24 home runs in 16 games. They score 4.2 runs per game. The team ERA is 2.35. And you can't sell me on, well, I mean, my team's injured. My team's had a lot of nobody's had more injuries than the Astros. And they've done this without Kyle Tucker. They're going to get Kyle Tucker back. Kyle Tucker's one of the best players in baseball, if you don't know. So if you want to be scared about a team, worry about them. The Yankees' arch nemesis, not the Red Sox, not the Orioles, it's the Astros. That's the team that's broken dreams every single year.
That's right. Thank you for saying what needed to be said on this subject.
Why, you an Astro fan now?
No, I've been saying for a very long time, I feel like there's not quite enough hatred for the Astros. Like, Don't get me wrong, I've sensed some level of it, but like we talk about the Red Sox series when it comes up, the only thing that should really matter in this era to Yankee fans is the Astros. They are everything. They are the dream shatterers for this team.
Well, they've taken care of the Astros in the regular season, so they have to worry about the Orioles. You don't want to play in the wild card.
Oh, no, I get it. Obviously, you have your own divisional battle, and the Orioles and the Yankees will always be what they are. When the Orioles are good, it's meaningful. But in terms of, like, where your thoughts are when you get to a postseason, yeah, you're looking at where the Astros are.
Well, those are Diamond Notes brought to you by London Jewelers. Visit London Jewelers today at any of their 7 locations, including the Americana Mall and the mall at Short Hills. And driven by Nissan. You deserve a car that thrills you, and Nissan's got an exciting full line that'll put goosebumps on your goosebumps. Experience the thrill for yourself. Shop your local Nissan store at nissanusa.com today. Let's take some phone calls. What do you say? What do you say?
Do it.
Let's go to Jeff in White Plains. Jeff, start it off.
Hey, guys. Hope all is well. Wanted to call about Austin Wells. Michael, maybe you can help me out. I don't get why he's not playing. He's established himself as our third best hitter so far, behind Judge. And I get that catchers can't play every day. I'm not asking for him to catch the day game after a night game, but he's got to play. We couldn't score runs against the White Sox, and we couldn't score runs against the Tigers. You got to put your consistent guys who are performing well in, no matter if they're facing a lefty.
Well, but see, you kind of answered your question in 2 of your parenthetical statements, Jeff, and we thank you for the call. They're not going to play catchers every day. The fact that they played well 16 of 18 games, probably pushing the envelope. And when you're going to rest them, you're going to rest them against lefties. So lefties will end up, pitching maybe a quarter of the games, a little over that, between a quarter and a third. So you're going to get Austin Wells playing, 7 out of 10 games. That's enough. That's good. Yeah, I know you miss him every time he's not in there because he's your cleanup hitter when he's in there. But today, you know what? I'm going to do something. I'm going to give the Yankees starting lineup because that's what Jeff's talking about. Yankees starting lineup tonight on 98.7 ESPN, brought to you by Bigelow Tea. And Wells not in the lineup. Batting first, playing second, Gleyber Torres. Batting second, playing right, Juan Soto. Batting third, playing center, Aaron Judge. The DH, cleaning up, is Giancarlo Stanton. Alex Verdugo in left field, bat fifth. Batting sixth, catching, Jose Trevino. Anthony Volpe is going to play shortstop and bat seventh. Batting eighth and playing first base, DJ LeMahieu. Oswald Peraza at third base is going to bat ninth. Matthew Boyd, the lefty, is starting for the Guardians. Luis Gil is starting for the Yankees. That's tonight's Yankees starting lineup. Brought to you by Bigelow Tea. Bigelow Tea is a proud supporter of the Michael Kay Show and the official hot tea of the New York Yankees. Matthew Boyd's a lefty. That's when you're going to rest Wells. So what this does is you had yesterday's an off day, and now you give Wells 2 days off in a row. He's not going to play every day. He's just not. There are very few catchers that catch as much as Wells has caught. I know it's tough. That's why it was always tough with Mike Piazza, Don. You remember. Now, Austin Wells not their best hitter. Mike Piazza was the Mets' best hitter. But there was no DH in the National League at that time, and he couldn't play every day. You just can't do it.
And that's why they were trying to get him at first base. Anything to find another position for him to play so that you get more at-bats. Because you can't catch every single day. Just can't do it. Now, what happens come postseason time, though?
Then you run him out there.
That's a little different.
But, one other thing. As good as Wells has been, you know that when Garrett Cole pitches, he probably wants to pitch to Trevino.
Then you'll have, the old, A.J. Burnett Posada.
Right. And believe me, Posada still hasn't let go of that.
No. A lot of Yankee fans haven't either.
Let's go to Artie in Fairlawn. Artie.
Gentlemen, I missed you last week.
Thanks, thank you.
You had a good vacation, though.
Thank you.
Michael, I'm going to say one thing. I texted my good friend last night, who was a Met fan, said, let's go Mets.
Absolutely.
So whoever, these Yankee fans are out of their mind, whoever thinks that you want the Mets to lose. Anyway, I'm sorry, Michael, but I got to have the radio on the background tonight because I can't wait to hear John on the game tonight.
Well, he's doing the fourth and fifth inning.
Oh, thank you, Mike. Okay, so I got you till then.
Right.
And one question I have for you, because you guys were away last week, but last Saturday, the doubleheader, they had someone doing a game with Susan. I'm not going to mention his name. You know who he is. And he used to make fun of her for 10 years. And I thought it was very disrespectful to her.
Well, you're talking about Craig
What do
Carton.
you think about that?
I mean, it was a curious choice by the Yankees, and the Yankees. And thank you for the phone call. You know, when Craig did the morning show on FAN, you know, it was a cottage industry. He and Boomer would make fun of Susan, more so Craig than Boomer.
Shocking.
And you know, the Yankees decided to put him in the booth for a weekend series. So
it was a very interesting decision.
It was a curious choice. And, you know, Susan's a professional, and she got through it. And, you know, Craig got through it. And
that's one way of putting it.
They didn't ask my opinion on it, so I guess they don't care what I think. So
I'm happy to tell you mine.
All right.
There's nothing satisfying in life like listening to someone you personally have a distaste for completely flop at something. And boy, did he do that.
Why do you say he flopped? I didn't hear it.
He just didn't have a voice for it. I made time to listen because I don't know if you guys know this. I'm petty. I wish I was above this. I made time. I was on vacation. I think Anthony reminded me. Anthony knows that I'm petty and thought I'd want to hear. So I listened on the app, and it was just absurd. It was just like, you know, listening to someone who just doesn't have a voice or timing, or it's just not that style of personality to do it. It just wasn't suited for him.
It's hard. It's hard to do. I mean, he hadn't done play-by-play in 30 years. And then he only did it, you know, once, I think, or twice at Syracuse, so it's hard. It's I always say this. He didn't hire himself.
Oh, no, listen, I'm not mad at someone
if you
for
were
taking
him,
the
would you
opportunity.
take it?
Absolutely.
Of course you would.
If you get the opportunity, you absolutely take it. I was just sort of a little taken aback at, like, most of the people who, like, do this for a living, even on a goof, could sort of find a little bit of the cadence for it because you've listened to it a lot. It was just bad. It was really bad.
1-800-919-3776. That's the number. We'll continue to take your phone calls. We've got a lot to do today. We've got to talk about the rank. Did you see the rankings of football of the best rosters?
Speaking
the Jets
of which,
are considered the second best roster in football. And the Giants, what are they?
They're dead last.
Dead last. Dead last.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll talk about it. And Aaron Boone had a little feisty exchange with the boys from Talkin' Yanks. On his weekly segment there, we'll address that as well. But first, Don's going to address Mazda.
We'll get more on a new Mazda from
With ButcherBox, you never have to worry about what's for dinner. We deliver grass-fed beef, organic free-range chicken, humanely raised pork, wild-caught seafood, and so much more. Get high-quality meat sourced from trusted partners with free shipping always, so you can always be prepared and enjoy the important things. Sign up for ButcherBox today.
Managing my credit card debt was overwhelming. My name is Carter, and Upstart helped me get rid of that credit card debt with a personal loan. Having the opportunity to just have one due date a month and only paying one person made my life a lot easier.
Hey everyone, I am Tegan of Half Baked Harvest, and I am back on the Home Chef menu. Home Chef really takes the stress out of cooking and makes it fun again. You literally just take everything out of the box and start cooking it. Don't miss out on Half Baked Harvest recipes on the Home Chef menu.
How easy is it to play the lottery with Jackpocket? Step 1, grab your phone. Step 2, download Jackpocket and start ordering tickets for your favorite state lottery games. Step 3, let the good times roll. Jackpocket is so easy to use from home or on the go. And there have been over $500 million in total prizes won. So now, the easiest way to enjoy the lottery is right in your pocket. Jackpocket. Download America's #1 lottery app today.
Custom Ink helps us celebrate and drive our students' achievements with custom gear. They love Custom Ink's different styles and designs. We love how Custom Ink makes the process simple with their easy-to-use design lab, expert artists ready to help, and unbeatable customer service. Custom Ink allows our kids to show everyone their accomplishments and the pride they have in our school. When we place an order, I know they got our back, so we can focus on the kids.
We make it easy to wow all your groups with high-quality custom apparel, accessories, and promo products, all backed by our guarantee at customink.com.
possible to go further than you ever imagined.
Chevy lets you begin every day fully charged, so you can go farther. And so can your money. Tow with confidence. Plus, stay connected with available OnStar technology. For summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Current qualified lessees can get this Equinox for around $199 a month. Or well-qualified buyers get 1.9% APR when you finance with GM Financial.
At Domino's, our stores now have quality captains.
Horrific. Thank you for the feedback. Terrible. Pathetic. It's a yes.
They're demanding perfection for your pizza.
I hate it.
Thank you. Everyone deserves the fastest, most reliable internet speeds, regardless of where they live. That's why Spectrum offers the fastest speeds in more neighborhoods than any other provider.
Switch to Spectrum Internet for only $49.99 a month. Call 1-866-895-3521.
With Spectrum Internet, you can power all of your devices to enjoy streaming, video chatting, and gaming. I rely on Spectrum Internet. You should too. Call now.
Popeyes has the best of both wings. Our juicy chicken is marinated to perfection with 2 distinct twists on all 6 flavors. Whether you prefer our spicy bone-in wings or our classic tender white meat boneless wings, we've got the best of both.
Got that chicken from Popeyes.
Hurry in to the Acura Summer of Performance event going on now.
Brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. The Yankees start a series against the Guardians at 7:05. The Mets continue their series with the Orioles at 7:10. And the Liberty host the Wings at 7. That's Game Time, brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, because when it's game time, it's Tully time. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew or try the brand new Tullamore Dew Honey during tonight's action. Glasses up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly. Let's go back to the phone calls. 1-800-919-3776. Danny in Long Island. Danny, take it away.
Danny on the app in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina.
Wow.
For a nice 8-hour drive with my son heading to college, apping it the whole way. Beautifully clear connection.
Make that a promo, Anthony.
Listen, Michael, if you live to be 117, how long is the list? How long? I mean, is that going to have to be a book?
What kind of list? Oh, the laminated
list. Yeah.
Well, you get off the laminated list once I get revenge. So I hope that the list doesn't continue to expand, because I've got to get these people. That's why they're on the list.
People in a nursing home who didn't give you some warm, lemonade when you wanted it, they'll be added on. It'll be never ending. But anyway, that's a solid run. If you're healthy, like I said, I enjoyed the conversation yesterday. My dad got 83 and a half, and he walked 5 miles the day before he passed away. He died suddenly. He wasn't ready. But some people are ready at 82. I want to be about 90. I'm thinking 90 is a good run.
It's not a bad run. I wouldn't sign up for it, but it's not a bad run.
90 is an incredible run. But real quick, about your father, Danny. Like, even him, I wonder if we could, one day, hopefully a long time from now, maybe you get to ask him. Would you rather have what he did, which he's doing great, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're gone? Or you have a slow, sad, several-year period where, yeah, you get to have conversations and it's great, but you also end up in a place where it's really not pleasant? That's a tough,
I got the
debate.
answer to the question, because I've seen so many of my friends. We discussed it when Michael was away, how my father used to guard the president, and he used to do all kinds of heroic things. And I've seen my friends' parents deteriorate, and I'm so glad I never had to see my dad was a hero to the day he passed, and I'm so glad I didn't have to see him in a debilitated state like that. I know guys who started with losing pinky toes, and then by the time they were done, it was terrible. So to me, take the quick, a solid life, of course. Now, I don't want to go at 58 years old.
No,
but, but anyway, let's bring it up. Let's bring it up a little.
No.
The
Death is great.
Yeah,
great for ratings. They've always said that.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Mike, I was wondering what you thought of the home plate umpire last night, because he was giving everyone about 2 or 3 inches up below the knees. He was pissing everybody off. Then he had rabbit ears, and then he called the balk, where the announcers couldn't quite figure out what it was. Either could after show people couldn't quite figure it out, and then on ESPN this one they couldn't quite figure it out. He had some day, that guy.
As long as the one thing I'll say, Danny, as long as you're ticking off both teams. You know what I mean? You don't want to tick off just one team. If you're ticking off both teams, that you're equally bad to each. So
the Orioles were really barking.
He was equally as bad, but he was getting more grief from the Oriole dugout, because I don't think they particularly like that really low strike. But again, big win. I agree with letting the kid hit. 3-0, 2 outs in the inning. Take a shot at everyone in the league now can hit a home run if they get the pitch that they want and they're swinging from their heels. And he had about a 25-degree upper launch angle,
right?
And a little too much of a celebration for a ball that ended up in the 4th row of the left field stands, but that was good.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the game, and love the death talk. I don't think you could ever get enough. I think Peter's coming aboard on that too.
No, it's great. It's sad, but it's interesting. There's something there.
Because you know what? It's one thing that we all know we've got to deal with.
Yeah, that is true. We can all relate to that.
Yeah.
It's one way or another.
It's like there's nobody out there that's not going to deal with it. Now, most people would choose not to talk about it, but we're very dark.
And most people would certainly choose not to deal with it. But
you know what? Unfortunately, we get out of this alive. Let's go to Diane in Long Island. Diane.
Hello.
Hi, Diane.
Hi, is this Michael?
Yeah.
Hi, Michael. I just want to tell you that when it's you, Coney, and Paul, I really enjoy the show.
Thanks.
And I love it when Meredith's escapades go on, and she gives you the business a little bit. I love that.
She does give me the business.
I know. Anyway, I just want to tell you what I think about Clay Holmes being the lousiest pitcher I have ever seen in my life. And then they give him a prominent position as closer. I mean, they had Mariano Rivera. They've had other people. They've had Tonkin, Canely, and they've had Weaver do most of the workhorsing. But, I mean, when it's only up one in the game and they put this guy on, my stomach goes to hell.
Well, Diane, I think what's happened, and I thank you for the call and the compliment, we were spoiled by Mariano. Mariano is a generational player. I don't know if we've ever seen a Mariano. And he very rarely blew a save. So that's a generation of Yankee fans grew up. Because Mariano, what was here, Don, 20 years?
Yeah.
So, I mean, a generation of fans think, well, that's normal. That's the way it's supposed to be. But it's not normal. That's why he's the only unanimous Hall of Famer in the history of the Hall of Fame. And to say that, listen, I understand people are down on Holmes. I even said yesterday, I think they've got to go to closer by committee now. You can't keep losing games. But to say he's the worst, he's not. He did make the All-Star team. He's in a bad stretch right now. The first 2.5 months of the season, he was lights out. And there's some of those blown saves were on, soft contact hits. I get it. I don't say that that's what happened on Sunday at the Little League Classic. That was his fault. Those are hard hit balls, and it's his fault. I don't care. Oh, we only made 2 mistakes. That's too many. It's a high wire act in the ninth inning. You can't make 2 mistakes. 2 mistakes cost you a game. A game could cost you a division. Losing the division could cost you the playoffs. So everything is amplified now, and you have to realize that. But the Clay Holmes hate, he's not terrible. He's still sporting a 2.88 ERA.
But
he has
he's got the
56
most blown
strikeouts in
saves
50 innings.
But the most blown saves.
Yeah, you're right.
That's the problem. I mean, I don't want to sound like Diane, I mean, the worst pitcher in baseball and all that, but they've got a closer problem. I was just giving the hockey analogy, making sure you have all your ducks in a row for the postseason. That's a problem.
Right.
Going into the postseason with no confidence in your closer by committee, not sure who's going to close out the game once you get to the ninth inning, that's a major problem. Probably the biggest problem they have right now. as far as winning a championship is concerned. That's a tough thing to do, not knowing who your closer is.
Let's go to Richard in Manhattan. Don, why don't you handle this?
Hi, Michael, Don, Peter. 2 quick points before I get to the Mets. Michael, did you see Michael King, 11-6 for San Diego and 16-8 games that he started. So this trade isn't as one-sided as...
Oh, stop it. Richard, goodbye. Goodbye. No, I'm not dealing with this today. I don't care what they gave up. They got Juan Soto back, and you're saying this trade is not as one-sided. They knew they didn't want to give up Michael King. They realized they were giving up a great pitcher in Michael King. They got back Juan Soto. Richard, have you seen Juan Soto's numbers? This deal is not as lopsided as I think. I mean, really, that's just asinine.
Wow. I never thought I'd support Richard, but Michael, that was...
Don, come on.
Don't support Richard.
Oh, no, but...
I mean, you're going to question what they gave up for Juan Soto?
No, but he just said it's not as one-sided.
It isn't one-sided. They got Juan Soto.
Yeah, it is still really one-sided, though.
But it's Richard.
No, I
this
get
is
it.
the turn. This is the breaking point.
Well, no, it's back-to-back stuff. I think you have to factor in. Can I get Richard's stuff from yesterday on my page, please? It's already there.
You got to let it roll a little bit.
No, you shut him down. Yeah. When you make a completely ridiculous statement, it's not as one-sided as I think.
But wait a minute.
I mean, how much better can Juan Soto be? If it wasn't for Aaron Judge, he would be, along with Bobby Witt Jr., the favorite to win the American League MVP. Stop it.
But all he said was it's not as one-sided.
How does he know how one-sided I think it is? Don, you were with me. Peter was with me. Did I say the one guy they didn't want to give up was Michael King?
Of course. But I just to extrapolate it out, if the Padres win the World Series behind his pitching and the Yankees get bounced early and then he signs someplace else, then it's not going to look as one-sided. I'm not saying that. I don't think he said he wouldn't do it. It's just that, the Padres got something really good back, and he was just kind of throwing it out there to disconnect the guy. I don't even know what the rest of his day is going to look like.
Peter, I cannot. Please help me out here. Give me a little better help here. I mean, I can't believe what he's doing. He insulted the man yesterday, and now I'm making a legitimate point. You could have criticized the Soto deal. I don't care who they gave up to get Soto.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's an absurd argument. I mean, unless, guys, I haven't been as dialed in. Has Michael King turned into the greatest pitcher in baseball?
No, he's very good.
No, he's very good.
Give me a ranking. Give me a general ranking in where he is.
Upper mid.
He's been like a Dave Stieb. How about that?
Okay.
I want to throw something in your wheelhouse.
Upper mid Dave Stieb level. Then no, it's a stupid thing to say.
But again, all I'm saying is I've had my problems with Richard. There's sometimes I flat out hate the guy. Chances are. So we go at him, maybe eventually disconnect him, but that was really early.
You know what? I frankly think it was right on time.
Interesting. Peter, you agree with that?
I don't know if it was, to me, that wasn't enough, like, where now I'm done for good, but I see why, given what yesterday was, Michael had enough in the moment.
I mean, you're always looking to make this outrageous thought. And by the way, he liked the way that Mendoza kept in his starting pitcher yesterday, Blackburn. Of course he does, because Richard wants everybody to pitch complete games. Peterson. He likes that. He wants them to pitch 9 innings, so that's what he likes. He probably loved Severino getting a complete game. Loved it.
Well,
the same old songbook every day. I mean, what, Nelson Riddle? What are we doing here?
You decided to get on the ride, Michael. You never stopped the roller coaster.
You wanted the ride closed yesterday, you phony. You wanted the ride closed.
But the funny thing is, think about it, Michael. Think about why you did it today. You did it in part to kind of get Don's goat. And then it blew up in your face, is what happened. That's the funny part.
All I'm saying is that if you want to get rid of the roller coaster, I'm all for it. But once you take the call, you got to take the ride, is all I'm saying.
I took the ride. And then when it got really shaky at the top, I said, ride over.
Yeah, but you don't have the luxury to do that.
Why not?
They're not stopping the ride.
No, you have the luxury to throw somebody overboard off a Ferris wheel. Out.
I don't think legally. I just know you decided.
You know what, Peter? I'm glad you did what you did yesterday to him. I'm glad. The condensation thing. I don't forget.
I'm just saying, either take the ride or don't. I'd have no problem if you left him on hold the whole show. I'm kind of done with Richard. But if you're going to take the ride, take the ride.
You didn't want the ride at all yesterday.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So don't take the ride. But if you're going to take it, finish it.
But I was trying to actually see if he made a coherent point today.
Well, then that's your problem.
That's a bad
when
job.
When does that happen? I'm just saying, it is what it is. But take it or leave it. Now, I'm all for leaving it. You know how I feel. But once you hit that button, man, you gotta wait till the ride's over.
Jacob on Twitter said Kay should ban Richard from the show.
All right.
But no, yesterday should be more of a reason than today.
I actually, I'm going to tell you something that's going to surprise you, Peter. Yeah. I don't think he did anything wrong yesterday. He was just being Richard. Today, it was doubling down on being Richard. I think today was worse than yesterday. Don just lost his top.
Right, and I didn't get a chance to do that because you disconnected.
You know what? Maybe I'm just not good at this.
No, I don't know why you got to go to these extremes. Yeah, you're right, Michael. That moment proves that you're a hack.
Yeah, probably. When you're right, you're right. When you are right, you are right. All right, we're going to come back. We got a lot to do, but Peter first is going to tell us about FanDuel, then traffic, and the whole deal. Peter's going to control the show.
Put it on the rest. Put it on the rest. Put it on the rest.
Never read a line of poetry, I'm not a poet, but I sit up in the back of my buttons cause I'm fresh. Never read a book on how to rip it, I just saw it, I don't need your explanation cause I'm better than the rest. Better than the rest. Better than the rest. Let me take you for a ride. I can make you feel alive.
The next Mega Millions drawing is presented by Jackpocket. Jackpocket lets you order official state lottery tickets right on your phone. Just pick your numbers and place your ticket order. See a scan of your ticket right in the app. And get your winnings instantly. Go to jackpocket.com to get the app and get your first ticket free. Jackpocket, America's #1 lottery app.
No dinner time is too big. No pup is too small. Home Chef's Family Menu and Paw Patrol are on a mission to deliver 4-serving family-friendly options that everyone will love. Get 18 free meals on homechef.com/Paw Patrol.
Hey. Rental? Yep. You? Yeah. You know your shoe's untied. Oh! Don't let a boxy suit ruin your night. Read from theblackducks.com.
The finest premium arena club in the world comes alive in Brooklyn. Welcome to Crown Club, the Brooklyn Nets' most exclusive club in Barclays Center. Featuring a menu curated by a major food group with Carbone classics and a world-class wine list. To learn more about premium memberships at Barclays Center, visit brooklynnets.com/crown-club.
That's Aaron Judge. Sometimes you get the feeling you're watching a Hall of Famer right in the middle of his prime.
The captain is rolling.
They're going to need a longer tape measure.
A monster blast. See ya. Wow.
Now stream
streaming exclusively on the Yes app. Powered by Buy Cow Auto Mall.
Magnifico.
Hi, I'm Greg. I live in Bloomington, Illinois. I'm not an actor. I'm just a regular person. Some people say, why should I take Prevagen? I don't have a problem with my memory. Memory loss is not something that occurs overnight. I started noticing subtle lapses in memory. I want people to know that Prevagen has worked for me. It's helped my memory. It's helped my cognitive qualities. Give it a try. I want it to help you just like it has helped me.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. Our incredible same-game parlay gets even better when you add Profit Boost. You can still combine all of your favorite selections to increase your potential winnings, but now we're giving you the option to boost your profit up to an extra 30%. Look out for a profit boost on select games and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Popeyes has the best of both wings. Our juicy chicken is marinated to perfection with 2 distinct twists on all 6 flavors. Whether you prefer our spicy bone-in wings or our classic tender white meat boneless wings, we've got the best of both.
That chicken from Popeyes.
The fact that this Reese's ad showed up at this exact moment proves that your devices are listening to your stomach.
Welcome back to the Michael K. Show, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Got to talk some football in the 4 o'clock hour and then address Aaron Boone's comments that he made to Jake and John Boy on the Talking Yanks podcast. They talk to him every week, and it got a little contentious. Let's go to Ben in the car. Ben.
Michael, guys, how are you?
Good. What's up?
Good.
Okay, I got one question about the Yankees. I got to take issue with one point that Michael brought up earlier in the show.
Okay.
First thing, Austin Wells. I understand you were talking about the righty-lefty thing, and he's going to sit against a lot of lefty pitching. But again, outside of Skubal the other night, who I understand obviously is the best lefty in the game, he's not going to start against Skubal. But are the Tigers, the Guardians, are they throwing prime Randy Johnson against the Yankees that we have to start worrying about lefty-righty every time?
You're dead right, Ben. You're dead right. But my only point is you're not playing him every day. So when you rest him, doesn't it make sense to rest him against a lefty, even if it's Matthew Boyd?
It does, but again, he's not going to play again on Thursday because that's a day game after a night game,
Right.
And Garrett Cole's pitching.
Well,
So
but doesn't that show you Garrett Cole probably wants to pitch to Trevino?
Well, it's also because of the day game after the night game, not just because of
But
Garrett Cole.
he has caught day game after night game. But I hear your point. It's tough to take out a guy. In his last 20 games, Ben, he hit .338. He's a big part of their offense. I get what you're saying, but catchers are not going to catch every day, so they got to pick days to give them days off.
I understand what you're saying, Michael, but I do take issue with one point you made earlier in the show.
Okay.
You were saying how you believe, the Yankees are very fortunate because they're a mediocre team, but it's okay because the Orioles are also mediocre,
That's not what I said. I said the Yankees are 23 and 27, and the Orioles have been just as bad. What I said was, I know Yankee fans are looking at their team and they're pulling their hair out. But, if you're an Oriole fan, you're doing the same thing.
I think we said that they're flawed.
Yeah, I said every team is flawed, and the only team that I really worry about is the Astros. Hey, you want to know an amazing stat, Don and Peter?
What's that?
Do you realize that if the season ended today, the American League Central is always the division that doesn't get a wild card? Like, the division winner just squeaks through. I mean, usually is the worst. Right now, the Orioles or the Yankees are going to have the number 1 wild card, the team that doesn't win the American League East. You know who's going to have the number 2 and the 3?
Well, the Twins.
The Royals and the Twins.
And
they
the
both
Royals
have the
won.
same record, 70 and 55.
Yeah, Royals won 5 in a row.
So they have a better record than the Red Sox.
And nothing sexier than those two.
Yeah, and the Red Sox are 4 games back in the loss column from the Twins and the Royals. And the Mariners better catch up with the Astros because they're 7 games back.
I still don't trust any of those Central Division teams. You know, the Tigers are only, like 4 or 5 games under 500, but the White Sox are 66 games under 500.
I know.
30 and 96. So I have to think, Michael, I haven't looked at their schedules, but I'm sure all those other teams in the Central are taking advantage of just winning every game against the White Sox.
Good point. Could be. Let's go to Lou in North Greenbush.
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Hey, Lou.
Hey, Michael, I like how you are critical about all the stuff that the Yankees should be doing. In other words, well, you know what I mean by.
Mm-hmm.
And I really am enjoying, because my brother used to say some of the announcers don't have the you-know-what to criticize the moves the Yankees are making.
Well, Lou, I want you to make me a promise. So if I lose my job because of that, remember me fondly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I heard one time when you said about how you had said something about Donnie Baseball, and Donnie Baseball was pissed at you, and you had to talk to his wife to, calm him down so you'd be on good terms. This is when you were a writer.
Yeah.
And I heard you talk about that many times.
That's because Don Mattingly was a mensch. You can actually have an argument with him and still remain friends.
Well, my brother Bobby knew him pretty good, and Bobby was a good basketball player where he could shoot free throws real good. And Donnie didn't want to challenge him to a game of 21 because he was a little worried that Bobby would take him out pretty good. But here's another good thing. I want to address this to Peter. Oh, no, I'm from Tommy Canley country.
Okay.
He played for Shaker High, and Shaker's about maybe not even 10 miles away from where I live.
Okay.
And I never seen him pitch in high school, but I had heard about him. Obviously reading the newspapers. So, Peter, tell me, what do you think of Katie Daniels getting the starting spot? I'm a little worried that Tampa's defense might rattle him a little bit.
I knew Jaden Daniels was it was a foregone conclusion that he would get the starting job. He's there to start. So I'm not thinking specifically about the Tampa matchup week 1 for him. I'm just thinking about, do I have a quarterback? That's what this whole league's about, right, Don? Do you have a quarterback or not? If they got the kid, I'll tell you what. I mean, if you're a Giants fan out there, you're just praying they didn't get the guy. You never want a team in your division to find a guy. That's been, although somehow I would really enjoy the Daniel Jones experiment more if he somehow didn't own the Commanders. But generally speaking, it's been nice that the Giants have not been able to find the guy for a while.
But unless you got a real good veteran for him to watch, let him play. If they think he's ready to play, let him play.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we live in an era anymore where it really benefits them to sit back for a couple years. How often does the Jordan Love thing happen where you just sit there for a few years and then you jump in and go? I think now the way to making it is you play the kid.
That was something.
There were a lot of ups and downs, more downs, but there were things.
There were things.
Things
so Peter,
happened.
I feel right now, I don't know, the first hour is taking a lot out of me. I need a number to call.
Well, I'm going to give you one in just a moment, Michael, because this message is brought to you by BetterHelp.
Mom?
Yeah.
I think we're out of toilet paper.
Oh, no. Mom, we need more chips, Mom. More chips, please. More chips to be cute.
Chicken, a lot of chicken. Chicken on that plate. Chicken coming up, Chef.
Okay, hon, I'm going to need a lot of chicken.
What's with the accent?
Just trying something new.
When you feel like everyone needs a little bit of everything,
I'll handle it.
Shop BJ's Wholesale Club on Instacart. Same-day delivery in as fast as 1 hour. So whatever the needs may be, you got it covered. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first order.
Eagles, Browns, Broncos, Bills. They all
and make every moment more. New customers bet $5 get $200 in bonus bets. Plus, every customer gets a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV. Only from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on. So make it your best summer ever with Ford. Get your ideal combination of power and capability. And experience hands-free highway driving technology with Ford Blue Cruise, available on select vehicles. It's the Make It Ford Summer Sales Event, so make it yours. Make it now. Returning lessees can now lease a Ford Explorer for just $319 a month for 24 months, only at your local Ford stores.
Your memory is an amazing thing, but sometimes it can start to slow down. But did you know Prevagen can help keep your memory sharp? The secret is the powerful ingredient apoaquarin, originally discovered in jellyfish and found only in Prevagen. In a clinical study, Prevagen was shown to improve memory in subgroups of individuals who are cognitively normal or mildly impaired. Stay sharp and improve your memory with Prevagen. Prevagen, in stores everywhere without a prescription.
You don't need the same Duracell batteries that help power Williams Racing. Until you do. Duracell is a proud partner of Williams Racing.
Popeyes has the best of both wings. Our juicy chicken is marinated to perfection with 2 distinct twists on all 6 flavors. Whether you prefer our spicy bone-in wings or our classic tender white meat boneless wings, we've got the best of both.
For years, one company has battled to deliver business products the next day with no freight charges. Now, WB Mason, with their famous fleet of trucks and drivers, faces their biggest challenge, rescuing shipping and packaging buyers from expensive freight charges. That's right. Now, boxes, stretch film, and packaging tape are delivered the very next day at amazingly low prices. So, who do you call for fast delivery and no expensive freight charges? Who but WB Mason?
Not every decision you make will be as good as getting a Volkswagen at the Savvy VW Summer Sales Event. 2024 Volkswagen models cost less to maintain than Honda. Get 0.9% APR financing or a $3,500 customer bonus on the new 2024 Atlas or Atlas Cross Sport.
Some fun with baseball. Let's move to football. I think the Jets opener is 20 days away, so it's happening. It's happening. But today, ESPN put out rankings of best rosters, and the Jets are considered the second best roster in football to the 49ers. 49ers are first, and the Giants are 32nd. They're last, and Don, I know that you're locked into the Giant roster. I mean,
right.
How are they last?
I don't get it.
Brian Burns is a good player. Thibodeau's a good player. Singletary's a decent running back. Neighbors is a #1 draft, first-round draft pick. Slayton's a good player. Jalen Hyatt seems like he's a good. How are they the worst roster in football?
So you're telling me it's worse than New England?
Yeah, I don't get it.
All right. If you hate Daniel Jones, fine. I really don't have a leg to stand on at what's happened over the last year or so. But you've got Thomas is an outstanding offensive lineman.
Yep.
As you said, Singletary may not be the greatest running back, but he's a good running back. You went out and got what many people believe is the best wide receiver in the draft, if not at least the second best wide receiver in the draft in Neighbors. You've got Dexter Lawrence, who's a Pro Bowl caliber defensive lineman. Thibodeau is a really good player. Again, I'm not saying that it should be up there in the top.
How about
5.
Burns? Burns is a good player.
Burns is a really good player. A really good edge pass rusher. So, again, I'm not saying that they have a ton of talent. I think they got it right with the Jets. The Jets have a lot of talent, but to say that there's nobody in football worse than them talent-wise, I think is ridiculous.
By the way, it's impossible that Jalen Hyatt could take a step forward, too, now that Neighbors going to attract so much attention.
Mm-hmm.
I did think that was I was equally surprised by both. I mean, we argued a little bit before the show, and I certainly see why the Jets would be near the top. I was surprised at 2.
See, I agree with you, Peter. I disagree with Don. I mean, the Jets have some holes on their roster.
But still,
Reddick's not in. Are you just assuming Reddick's going to be in?
I am assuming because
but you subtracted Huff out of the equation, and you haven't replaced him if Reddick doesn't come in.
But I'm assuming that because he is a member of the Jets, that they are counting him. So he's probably they say look upon him as better than Huff. Right? I mean, they've got a top, maybe one of the best running backs in football. Aaron Rodgers, if healthy, is probably in the conversation, at least arguably, a top 5 quarterback, potentially a top 5 quarterback. You know, Wilson is an outstanding wide receiver, won Offensive Rookie of the Year.
And Gardner and Reed are really good in the secondary.
I think they really have a ton of talent. I just don't know if they've got the coaching to put it all together. But if everybody is healthy, I don't have as much of a problem with the Jets having the number 2 roster talent-wise. But for the Giants to be ranked 32nd is a little mind-boggling to me.
It's just crazy, Michael. It felt like last year there was, some disappointment in the defense. Like, the defense was really good, but it didn't look like an absolute Super Bowl defense like everyone expected.
Right.
And all of a sudden, that didn't happen, though. We are just going with I guess that is. It's on paper, but, it didn't feel like that last year.
And how about their offensive line? Is that the offensive line of the second best roster in football? I don't know.
I thought it felt very lofty, but
if you want to say top 10, okay. 2. So you mean they should be the Jets and the 49ers in the Super Bowl?
Well, yeah, and you're also saying that all it's going to take really was getting Rodgers to play.
Right.
And if Rodgers is playing, they jump over Miami, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Kansas City.
Kansas City?
Because they were ahead of Kansas City.
Listen.
Philadelphia.
Just because you have the talent doesn't mean it all comes together and you win a championship. Because the coaching still has more to do with your success and failure in football than I think any other sport.
Yeah, you're right.
So, listen, I could make the case they're more talented than Kansas City. Kansas City doesn't have a hill anymore. I think the second Super Bowl kind of surprised some people. But you got Andy Reid, he's going to the Hall of Fame as a head coach. You got Robert Saleh. The best you could say, it's incomplete because he really hasn't had a full roster to work with.
You know what you're doing? You're hanging the hat on Robert Saleh. If they don't win and everybody's healthy, it's his fault. Because you have the second best roster in football and they don't win, it's on him.
I think that's pretty clear, though, wouldn't you say, that if everybody stays healthy?
But I'm not investing as much emotional capital in Aaron Rodgers being great. I don't know he's going to be great.
But this is still a guy that didn't, he won 2 MVPs fairly recently. Then he didn't have a great year that last year in Green Bay. It might have been because of the thumb. And then we saw 4 plays from him last year.
Right, so we're going to act like the last 2 years didn't happen.
But there are extenuating circumstances to how those last 2 years looked, right? He gets hurt. The 4th play into the season last year, and he had a bad thumb, but still had stats that if he puts up identical stats to what he put up with the Packers in 22, Michael, I think this is easily a playoff team. You don't think Aaron Rodgers can't go out there and throw for 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns with these weapons?
Is that what he threw?
No, but that was...
if he puts up the numbers in 22, I'm not sure they're the second best roster in football. Those are not great numbers. And I know I'm giving him a break because of the broken thumb, but those are not great quarterback numbers. They're okay.
Let me give
For the Jets, they're great.
Well, for the Jets, they're unlike anything they've ever seen before. 3,700 yards, 26 touchdowns, 12 picks, a rating of 91.
And that's because of the injured thumb.
Right.
And I think this Jet team is better than that Packer team was. That I think if he puts up those identical numbers for a Jet team that won 7 games last year, remember, with no quarterback. So if all of a sudden you plug in a quarterback so you throw for 3,700 yards, 26 touchdowns, then I think you're looking at a team that's going to win 10, 11 games and definitely make the playoffs. I think those numbers could be better because in 2021 when he played the 16 games, he threw for 4,100 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 4 picks. So the thumb was the thing. Now, he's 2 years older, so I'm not sure he's going to go out there and throw 37 touchdown passes. But I think there's a very good chance with the weapons that he has, if they can protect him, that he can throw for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. And then that should be more than enough for this team to be able to compete for the division and onward and upward. He's still Aaron Rodgers, right? So there's only a handful of quarterbacks better than he is for what the potential he could bring at the age of 40 years. You've got a running back that maybe you could make the case is the best running back in football, or at least second or third. He's definitely in the top 3. Garrett Wilson has to be in the conversation among the best wide receivers in football. He's had a great start to his career. You've got really good defensive players. So I don't think it's that crazy. I need somebody to explain to me that the Giants are completely bereft of talent? I mean, how is that possible? Is it all just because the quarterback stinks?
I don't...
Go ahead.
the quarterback is not great, but that I'm telling you, that is not a talentless roster. I don't understand what Bill Barnwell's saying. They could be the worst team in football. I don't see it. I could easily see this team winning 8 games.
The only thing that you would have to explain to me, I said this before we all went on vacation, that if Barnwell or anybody else believes the Giants will be the worst team in football, then you must think that Dable's not good. I'm sorry. If you're the worst team in football, your coach contributed to that.
But their rankings don't have anything to do with the coaches, because there's no way that Saleh would be the second best team in football.
No, but there's 2 different lists here. There's the list of the talent where they say the Giants are 32, but there are some people, Barnwell included, who thinks they're going to be the worst team in football.
Right.
Yeah, and coaching's not part of it, so.
But I'm looking at the defense. I mean, Okereke, you've got Thibodeau, you've got Lawrence, you've got Burns. Again, not incredible depth, but, I mean, you've got some talent here, Michael. I think the offensive line's going to be better. They went out and got 2 of the most highly coveted offensive linemen in free agency. So they had to be coveted. There were other teams that wanted to contribute. You know, John Runyon is not nobody. Andrew Thomas is one of the best left tackles in football.
Now, Barnwell actually said in the article today, if everything breaks right, the Giants can win 8 or 9 games, and he just doesn't see that happening. Then the roster can't be that bad, Don. It can't be the worst roster in football if you think if everything breaks right. So this roster, if everything breaks right, they're 8 or 9 win team. That's not the worst team in football. I don't understand the thinking. 1 + 1 doesn't equal 5.
I really think that sometimes, guys, we get caught up in these lists. I think there are people looking for clicks. And what better way to get clicks than take on a team that's immensely popular in the New York Giants and say, you think they're going to be the worst team in football? I got to find out why. You get a lot of traction, a lot of conversation from it. But you can't say you think they could be one of the worst teams in football, but if everything breaks right, they win half their games. The worst team in football doesn't potentially have a chance to win half of their games. Worst team in football is a team that if things break right, they win 3 or 4. Not all of a sudden being, because if this team can win 8 games, Michael, that means you're going to go into December with them having a chance to make the playoffs.
Right. I mean, talk about talking out of both sides of your mouth. They're the worst roster in football, but if everything goes right, they're 8 or 9 wins. I'm sorry, Bill, that doesn't make sense. That just doesn't jive with what you're saying. Because the worst roster in football, even if they play up the potential, what are they, a 3 or 4 win team? So you're not saying that the worst roster in football. You can't.
Because here's the thing. I think talent-wise, they are better than they were 2 years ago when they won 9 games. Now, we've outlined it chapter and verse that they could have very easily won 6, 7 games that year. A lot of things broke right for them. They won 9 games and a playoff game.
Against a very suspect playoff team.
Right, but it's a playoff.
But it's still a playoff.
Yeah, you waited to the divisional round of the playoffs. Worst teams in football don't do that. Now, last year, there were still 5 teams worse than them, and you couldn't get off to a worse start than they did. They lose their quarterback. They lose their left tackle. I mean, it was ridiculous, all the things that happened to them. It was awful. But they got off the mat, ended up winning 6 games. So somewhere in the middle probably lies the answer. Where do you get worst team in football? And they've improved from last year. They improved the offensive line. I think the defense can be better with the acquisition of Burns. You've got a chance for Jones to be healthy. He's got a legitimate weapon to throw the football to. They didn't have any weapons 2 years ago. Michael, I really feel like sometimes we're getting played. I think that people just love football so much that anybody comes up with a list, we got to get crazy about it. I don't buy it. And if we all think it's ridiculous, it's hogwash, then let's not even bring it up.
Well, here's his reasoning why the Giants are 32nd. He goes, let's start with the positives. During the offseason, Giants traded for Brian Burns, who, along with Kayvon Thibodeau, gives them a formidable 1-2 edge rusher duo. That's what we said. The defense also has Dexter Lawrence and Bobby Okereke. Okay. And the offense boasts offensive tackle Andrew Thomas and rookie receiver Malik Neighbors. Now he goes on to say, unfortunately, it's hard to find much else to get excited about this season. Quarterback Daniel Jones has struggled with injuries and effectiveness. Running back Saquon Barkley now in Philadelphia. Okay, so there's a drop-off from Barkley to Singletary. But Singletary stays on the field. Then he says, tight end Darren Waller retired. So what? He was awful. He was dreadful. And recent offensive line investments have yet to work out.
All right, so that's Mike Clay that you're reading from.
Right,
yeah,
Mike
this
Clay.
is not Barnwell.
Right.
I already discussed that might be the league's shakiest secondary, and there are also depth concerns in the front 7. If Jones doesn't make a big leap, there's a good chance the Giants will choose his replacement in April's draft. That's a lot of, but then how could Bill Barnwell say if everything goes well, they're an 8 or 9 win team? Then the talent's there.
Well, I think Clay makes a decent point of things that can go sideways for them. We saw what happened last year. You lose Andrew Thomas, Daniel Jones doesn't play well, and you're a sinking ship. And even Barkley couldn't save it. But I think Singletary is not Barkley, but if this offensive line blocks and they get some things going, I think he could be more than a serviceable running back. I'm really interested to see how it's going to go. Obviously, this is my team, so I want to see them, shove it up everybody's you-know-what. But it seems like a very easy team to pick on.
But I don't know why.
I'm not sure either. I mean, I don't think there's an ounce of controversy in it. Maybe Thibodeau's a little bit of that guy, but I don't think
Don,
he's unlikable
are
as a
you
team.
trying to get clicks just in New York? The Giants aren't like a national team like the Cowboys or the Steelers.
No, but they're a team that's New York is pretty big. The Giants are a pretty big team, and I know you're going to get a lot of reaction from them. Maybe not Cowboy-Steeler reaction, but I'm sure you're going to get a reaction from them. Jets, the same thing.
Maybe people just really don't believe in the coach and or the quarterback.
Well, how could you not believe in the coach? He was coach of the year 2 years ago.
I know.
And
the quarterback, I understand. Year 6. Usually year 6 that it doesn't click in.
And I give them credit. We were having a legitimate conversation. Would Dable be in trouble if this team had it bottom out? It didn't bottom out for them. They were a better team in the second half of the season than they were in the first half of the season. It wasn't salvageable. But if you're telling me that they could be one of the worst teams in football, then you have to include the coach as being a reason for that. I believe that Dable will be able to get more out of his team.
Do you think that Dable's a better coach than Saleh?
Yes, I do.
So their roster is so far superior that they overcome Saleh to be the second best roster in football. But the Giants are so bad that it doesn't matter that Dable's a decent coach.
Now, the reason I think Dable's a better coach is we did see what he did 2 years ago, getting that team into the playoffs with not a bunch of talent. And I'm sorry, in this league, I need my head coach to be really good at offense. And it seems like he's really good at trying to make offense work. So I've got more faith he'll get something out of Daniel Jones. I like Robert Saleh, but his bailiwick is defense. And clearly he's been able to put together a very good defense. But I think you win in this league by having an offensive-minded coach. And plus, we have not seen Robert Saleh really do anything. I think he's had excuses. He loses his starting quarterback last year. The previous couple of years, he didn't have a ton of talent. And I do give him a little credit for getting 7 wins out of this team with no quarterback. But I don't know what Robert Saleh's up potential could possibly be. I mean, if I had to bet, I would think Robert Saleh's probably in his last year. Do you think Dable's going to survive this year? I think he's got a better chance of surviving this year than Saleh does. Just because I think if anything goes wrong, Saleh's gone. If this team doesn't make the playoffs, Michael, Saleh's gone.
I agree. I think Rodgers is gone, too. I think Joe Douglas could be gone.
Now, could I see a scenario in which the Giants win 2 or 3 games and Dable's probably shown the door? Yeah, I could see that possibly happening. But I have faith that he'll try to get enough wins here where you'll feel like you're moving forward. At some point, we got to let go of the Gettleman stuff, right? I mean, at some point, this becomes a Shane and Dable team, and we start grading them instead of always making the excuse, Gettleman. And I think this is finally the year where you're going to say, all right, let's see. He built the offensive line, went out and got some talent on both sides of the ball. Let's go out and see if he can win some games.
You know, by you saying Gettleman 3 times, he's now going to rise back.
Is that true?
It's like Beetlejuice. You can't say it 3 times.
I never heard that about Gettleman.
Yeah. Don't say it 3 times. He'll end up taking over for Shane. 1-800-919-3776. Let's see what you think. Let's go to Bobby in Belmore. Bobby.
Yeah, hi, Michael. Hi, guys. Listen, before I get to the Riddick thing, Michael, you said Cashman's a Hall of Fame general manager. I mean, I love you guys, but that's almost as crazy when Don said that Elway and Rodgers is better than Montana, even though he destroyed Elway 55-10 in the Super Bowl, and Rodgers 11-10.
So what is that? That's one game.
Yeah, but I mean, over four Super Bowls.
I don't
11
care.
touchdowns.
I think Elway was better. So you could think I'm ridiculous, but all right, go on, move on.
Okay, well, I know you're going to fish. I'm sorry to do that. Now, let me get to the whole thing. Michael, at those 5 championships was basically based on Steinbrenner's money in the core 4. Michael built those teams. He brought in Brocious, and he brought in Justice, which was really good moves, I agree. And, Cano. But basically, his best year was 2017 with the Baby Bombers, and he screwed that up by getting rid of Girardi because he was too hard on Sanchez, even though Sanchez had his best year under Girardi that year. So, I mean, he's a good general manager, but for a Hall of Fame general manager, Michael, I don't think he's a Hall of Fame general manager.
Okay, good. Billy Beane does. That's all I'm saying. I never said it. Billy Beane said he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, okay.
And I agree.
Now,
he will be in the Hall of Fame.
Let me get to the Jets. I want you to handle the Jets. Now, according to Pro Football Focus, Huff was 4th ranked pass rusher, and Riddick was 5th. I mean, I don't understand. If they didn't know, obviously, the numbers with what Riddick wanted, why didn't they just keep Huff? I mean, it's typical dysfunctional Jets.
Bobby, I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. And you know what? Odd. The Eagles made that decision. And they got a guy for $17 million a year. A guy that the Jets turned into a great player. The Jets make a trade for a guy who will not report. It's a dumb play. It's a dumb play by Douglas. He's got egg all over his face. They should have Huff signed for 3 years at a reasonable salary. This guy's looking for $25 million a year, and he's not going to report. An awful look for the Jets. The team that you traded with is the one that signed Huff.
And clearly, I don't think this is all their fault, because it sounds like Riddick's out of his mind. Just the money that he's losing in the fines, and also this is his year to prove that he deserves a contract. Go out there and play. And then get your contract.
But don't you think this stuff should have been buttoned up before they made the deal?
Of course, it should have been buttoned up. But what I'm saying is it's possible that he lied to them. Said, yeah, I'm going to sign with you, and then didn't. But the point is, you're better off with Huff. And the fact that Philadelphia, which is a very well-run organization, couldn't get it done should have been the red flag that maybe we shouldn't get in bed with this guy. They probably know something that we should know. So, no, I'm not taking the Jets off the hook. But obviously the other side is just as out of their minds. But you do not make a deal unless you know that you're going to get a contract done. And the fact that it's August 20th, they're about ready to play their last preseason game, and he hasn't gotten a contract done yet. It's awful.
And it's talking about asking for a trade.
And good for the Jets not trading him, but at the end of the day, if he's not playing on opening day against San Francisco, then are you really helping your organization at all?
And here's the deal. You make a trade for a guy who obviously you don't have belief in to sign to a long-term deal. You had belief in Huff. You created Huff. You turned Huff from a guy that didn't have much upside to a guy who signed a big 3-year contract, free agent contract. So you go with the guy that you don't believe in only for 1 year. They had no intention to sign this guy to a long-term deal. None. With Huff, at least they knew who they had. Let's go to Joe in New Jersey. Joe.
Gentlemen.
What's up, Joe?
Hello.
Hey, Joe.
How's everybody?
Good.
Everybody's well.
Thanks, buddy.
Gentlemen, Aaron Rodgers, when he went into the darkness retreat, he was pondering his future. When he came out, he was offended that the Green Bay Packers were doing the same thing. Lastly, Out of the Darkness was the title of the TV movie back in the 70s or 80s about the son of Sam.
Oh, wow. You're getting real deep, Joe. Yeah, I don't think that Aaron Rodgers, and we mentioned this yesterday when we talked to Ian, Aaron Rodgers' departure from the Packers was almost as sloppy as Brett Favre's. Yeah, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you cannot sit there and expect them to wait forever, especially when they have your replacement ready. So he goes into the darkness. He's deciding whether or not he wants to play. The Packers didn't know if he was going to play. He was signed to a contract. Packers had him signed to a long-term deal. If he wanted to come back and he didn't go play games going into the darkness, you know what? He might still be in Green Bay.
Darkness. It is. And by the way, and so Reddick's 3 years older than Huff. Huff is your guy.
Make it make sense.
Now, how often? Because I'm trying to remember the last time. I feel like there was one pretty recently. When was the last time a sort of marquee football player was traded before the last year of their contract and then refused to suit up for their brand new team?
Would be Bell.
Was it Bell? Is that the last one that? And then of course
Bell.
No, Bell didn't suit up for the Steelers.
Bell didn't suit up. Yeah, he didn't get traded. He just didn't suit up. But he did. But it's similar in the sense that he threw the last year of a contract away to prove himself.
Right.
But this doesn't. No, but this doesn't.
This is different though, because usually once you make the move, you're doing it, Michael, presumably in earnest to then go earn the contract on the new team.
Right.
It's like a lot of
what's happening with Judon with the Falcons.
Yeah.
So he's going to go. He's going to play.
Right. Judon said, "I'll prove myself."
Yeah, and then I'll get my contract.
Right.
Like they couldn't get it done either, but at least he's going to play. But now he's not playing, so he's only hurting himself with the fines, which can't be recouped back, and the fact that now he's wasting what's supposed to be his one season to prove himself. If he doesn't get a contract,
and here's another thing: if he comes back and he plays like opening or tries to play the opening game, it's a fail. Okay, he's going to end up getting hurt. Anybody that doesn't go through training camp, they're going to get hurt. He doesn't know the system. He's going to be lost. It's a complete fail by the Jets. It's a fail by now. What did Rich Cimini say that we should get nervous when they start playing preseason games? Right? Well, they played 2 already.
Yeah, well,
it's an epic fail.
Yeah. Saturday against the Giants is their last preseason game.
And whether you want to say, well, he lied to the Jets, bet on the Jets for not dotting the I's and crossing the T's. They look like fat hand losers. That's what they look like.
But this is something you got to get ironed out before you make the deal. I'm just saying that the player here, I really need to know what kind of advice he's getting, that this is a good idea. All he has is this contract. I know he wants to get a contract from the Jets, but if you're not going to get what you want, well, then go out there, ball out, and then you can command things. I understand it's difficult in football. You're taking a chance of getting hurt. But by not playing, how do you think this is going to work out?
And he's already lost $1 million in fines. So even if he shows up today and he plays for the contract that he's presently under, he cost himself $1 million for holding out. And got nothing out of it. Now, if he cost himself $1 million, ended up getting a 3-year deal with a lot of money guaranteed, good job. But if it doesn't look like the Jets are going to do that, they're not going to give into his demand to be traded. So it's one of the for both sides. Reddick looks like a lunatic. You're going to give up at the end of all of this. It's going to be out $2 million for what? What did you prove?
And by the way, if he ends up messing up, either not playing at all, blowing this year, or, as Michael said, playing, not being ready, getting hurt, looking bad, taking a step back because he's unprepared. Michael, he turns 30 in September.
Yep.
Like, you all of a sudden got a lot sexier. Now you maybe are a year removed from the great season you had, plus you're 30 years old.
And also, why couldn't you do what Brandon Ayuk is doing? Do one of those hold-ins. Show up, say, I'm not going to play till we get this done. But you know what? I'm going to learn the system. I'm going to get to know my teammates. This way, you're not getting fined. Why could Brandon Ayuk do that and not you?
Well, that's a really good point.
Could be the point guard.
And you end up putting so much pressure on the team.
Yep.
Because if you show up and you're a great teammate and everyone loves having you there and you look like a beast and everyone knows the regular season's coming, the team has to have you play. You put so much more pressure on them than this. Jets fans don't even know what he looks like in a uniform yet.
Peter, tell us about Dodge.
Well, you know, Michael, I'm glad you brought it up. It is Peter for sure.
Hello, I'm Dennis Quaid. For years, Tunnel to Towers has demonstrated a commitment to first responders and military families. They've paid off mortgages and built specially adapted smart homes. Now the foundation is expanding its mission to eradicate veteran homelessness. Please give our veterans a chance to reclaim their dignity by donating at T2T.org.
Popeyes has the best of both wings. Our juicy chicken is marinated to perfection with 2 distinct twists on all 6 flavors. Whether you prefer our spicy bone-in wings or our classic tender white meat boneless wings, we've got the best of both.
The mood can strike at any time. And with Cialis Daily, you're always ready to perform. Medication is prescribed online and delivered discreetly to you. Get a 3-month trial pack at TryRexMD.com.
Hurry in to the Acura Summer of Performance event going on now. Big season. More reasons to say yes.
Wow. Aaron Judge crushes one.
Get all the Yankees action on the Yes app. Download now.
See ya! A monster home run! First big league at bat! Soaring into history! 62!
Number 300, the fastest man ever. History for Aaron Judge.
My dad, he's a double amputee, and he's one of my favorite people in the world. To me, a hero is someone who fights for our country and freedom. My dad is a hero. Homes for Our Troops built this house, and it's basically made for him. My dad can get through the wide doorways. When he is making our lunch, he can reach anything we need. He'll help me build tiny projects. Life is good here. Without Homes for Our Troops, we'd be living in a home that didn't have all these features that helped him.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives.
If they get a new house like this one, it'll help them do normal life. My dad's not just a hero, he's my hero.
Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
Here comes the heat!
Say hello to the Bronx Buds, Yes's first ever animated series for the whole family.
And the crowd goes wild!
Now streaming. Join Rid, Bash, Oscar, and the rest of their gang for a baseball adventure around the Big Apple.
Bronx Pride is on the line.
Hexlab presents Bronx Buds. Now streaming exclusively on the Yes app. Powered by Buy-Cow Auto Mall.
Magnifico.
Listen, I spotted it from the start. Breaking didn't even have a name yet. All that potential, just waiting to burst free. I think about every battle. Kids from the South Bronx who didn't just knock on the door, they kicked it down. And today, what I saw in us is the same thing I see in you. It's your time. It's all about spotting it early. And if you do, no victory is out of reach.
Is it possible to be more capable and more practical? Be able to perform here and here. Make a statement while barely making a sound. And command the road as well as what lies ahead. How we get there matters. Get exceptional offers at your local Audi dealer.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
If you get a phone call, do not talk to the person.
Never, ever give out your Medicare number. Just hang up.
I check my Medicare statements monthly. To report Medicare fraud, contact the Senior Medicare Patrol in your state.
Before we go back to your phone calls, Pinstripe Report brought to you by Samwell Institute for Pain Management. And Aaron Boone addressed some of the things that have been talked about of late. So let me give you what he said. That Boone said he sees Jose Trevino making most of the starts against left-handed pitching, with Austin Wells facing most right-handers. However, he said that Wells could start tomorrow against a left-hander. Well, you know that Trevino is going to start Thursday afternoon with Garrett Cole on the mound, because Garrett Cole always likes the veteran guy, although he pitched very well last year to Rortvet and won a Cy Young after Trevino got hurt. So, I mean, it does make sense. You could have played Wells today and tomorrow. Now he has all these days off. Maybe that's what he needs because he's played so much, but he's hit great. The other thing, he was asked if the Yankees are in a save situation, is Clay Holmes the closer? He said, could very well be. Moving forward, you expect him to be really good because he is really good. Yankee fans are not going to like to hear that.
No.
See that it's a tough spot I get for managers. You don't want to throw your player under the bus, but you also want to kind of at least acknowledge the fact that it's a thing. Just don't keep saying he's still great. We still believe. Well, he's got the most blown saves in Major League Baseball. It makes you look bad. You know, you can't. There isn't a way. It's like we still believe, but at the same time, you know, right now he's struggling a little bit, and we might have to think about trying somebody else. I don't know. You're doing these interviews, Michael, and I get that you got to toe a certain line to support your players, but at the same time, you don't want to devalue yourself and make it seem like that you're tone deaf and don't realize what's going on. There's got to be a way to do it. There's got to be a way to support him, but at the same time, let people know that I get it.
You know what? You know what's going to let people know, Don? If they have a closing situation today, and all of a sudden you've got Luke Weaver coming in, that's the statement he's going to make. Because I truly don't believe that Clay Holmes is going to be the closer every single day. I think they're going to have him close some games, especially if they feel that the lane that they're coming up in the ninth inning is the one that he would be most suited for. But I think other times they're going to bring in other people. They just are. But they're also going to try to shade it in a way. Well, you know, he's pitched 2 days out of the last 4, wanted to give him a blow. They'll never say he's not the closer anymore. They just won't.
See, the tough spot that they're in, if they played yesterday and they went to another closer, you'd say, well, he had pitched the day before. We wanted to give him a little bit of a mental health day.
But they were off yesterday.
But they were off yesterday. Yep. So it really would be glaring if he really wouldn't have anything else other to say than that there's a glorified audition if somebody else closes tonight. So I wonder, does he get another opportunity here? Hopefully saves it and it's not that big of a deal. But then if he blows it, then you could say, all right, well, now we got to do something about it.
It's a great point, Don. I just don't know what they're going to do because you can't afford to keep losing games. And, you know, his stuff is good, but it hasn't been good enough to close 10 times. And it's not like, okay, he blew 10 saves and they came back and won. They lost 7 of those games. Just think about where the season would be if they had won those 7 games. So let's say they lost 3 of the 10. Okay, you could live with that. They lost 70% of the games that he blew.
All right, so who do you think has the best stuff, or the best stomach, maybe the better way to put it, to close out a game tonight if it's not Holmes?
Well, I was going to say Ian Hamilton, but he's not active yet. He was pitching a BP session today. So,
okay.
I guess I'd say Weaver.
But it's not exactly a no-brainer.
No, it's not. That's why it's so tough.
But then why can't you just say, well, listen, right now Holmes is struggling, but I believe that he still gives us the best option to save a game until further notice.
Right.
So at least you're acknowledging, hey, I see the problem here, but he's also not a strikeout pitcher, plays to contact. A lot of these blown saves are just because the ball's in play. And right now I'm not sure there's anybody in the bullpen that can do a better job than him. Now, is that throwing the rest of the bullpen under the bus? I don't know. It's kind of doing the same thing. If you keep trotting them out there, you're basically saying, I don't have faith anybody else could do it. I just think that I feel bad for Aaron because I think that the major reason why he gets criticized is because he's so supportive of the players that people actually think he doesn't see what they see. Come on, he has to see it.
Of course he sees it. I just don't think that. I don't think that the options are that great anywhere else. You don't have anybody down there that's closed. Luke Weaver is a starter that he made into a really effective reliever. Does he have the stomach for the ninth inning? Does Tommy Kahnle have the stomach for the ninth inning? He's 35 years old, but he's really never been a closer. I think Ian Hamilton could be an option when he comes back. So it's tough.
It's so weird with closers that, you know, sometimes they come out of nowhere. So, but unless you try and see, you don't know whether they can do it or not. Like, I don't, you know, Sergio Romo had that great year with the Giants. I don't know if anybody saw him as a closer.
Right.
He was a middle reliever. And then they gave him the opportunity, and he stole the job away, and they won a World Series with the guy. And then he lost it like a lot of the closers do, and then he went back to his role as a middle reliever. Like, sometimes it's just catching the lightning in a bottle. I think we overthink it sometimes. Do you have the stomach for it? Or the analytics tell you? Sometimes it's just, hey, the guy just happens to be able to get the job done now. Let's take advantage of it. Is there any thought into it?
That's the Pinstripe Report, brought to you by Samwell Institute for Pain Management. For a pain-free life, visit SamwellPain.com today. I will go back to the phone calls. Let's go to Dave in Queens. Dave.
Dave.
I'm glad to be back on, and it's great to hear all three of you all again on the air. The Yankee situation is very tough. I'm going to leave that alone right now.
Sure.
I will also say that this is more for Don. Gotten into Yacht Rock lately over the summer, and I would love to hear Don's take on Yacht Rock, maybe a top 5 if he's up for it. But the reason why I'm really calling is about the conversation earlier about Dayball and Saleh, which I think is a great topic. And I'm a Jets fan, so I'll just say that up front. But for me, just like a little bit of context, I think the Jets are the most dysfunctional franchises of all time across all sports, right? And when you think about what Douglas and Saleh have done over the last 3 years or so, I know Saleh is a defensive coach. That's all he's done. It's a maybe top 5 defensive team. Special teams is good. Obviously, they're now in a point where they've kind of handed the keys to a certain extent to Aaron Rodgers, and you have Nathaniel Hackett. It's very questionable, but it's also in many ways very reliable. I think Saleh has done a fantastic job. I think if you look back the last few years, all the dysfunction that has happened throughout the team, and you listen to a lot of the players in the postgame, like they really do try to stick together for the most part. There's so much drama around Zach Wilson.
Oh, really? I mean, did they stick together? Wait, did they stick together when they wore those, Let's Go Mike White T-shirts? Was that sticking together?
The Zach Wilson thing is a problem.
Well, that's on Saleh.
It's not really on Saleh.
Really? You can't let your team wear those T-shirts. You can't let your team wear those T-shirts.
No, yeah. I get that. That's an easy mark, and that's a good one. But I just want to flip it.
Okay.
Then you have Dayball in a franchise that is super Dayball, whatever. It's super stable franchise. It's like it's a different organization.
Well, it hasn't been that. Wait a minute, Dave. Wait a minute. Dave. I'm not going to give you the whole. You're not going to host the show. Wait a minute, okay? My point is, they've had 3 coaches that lasted 2 years or less. From the last years of Jerry Reese through Gettleman, you can't say that's a stable organization. They've been terrible.
They're nothing like the Jets.
Well, nothing's nothing like the Jets, but you're making them out to be like the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're not even close to that. They've been in shambles since the last years of Jerry Reese.
You're right, Michael, about Saleh did an awful job with the Wilson and the shirts with White and all that. That was terrible. But I will give him credit. He never lost the team last year. When they lost their starting quarterback 4 plays in, I give him credit for finding a way to keep the team engaged and winning that game, and winning 7 games with no quarterback. And I think he learned his lesson from the year before, and he never lost the room, and everybody seemed to be on the same page. And even with the Rodgers stuff going on, nobody has spoke ill of Rodgers. Nobody has spoke ill of the organization. I give Saleh credit for that. I think they want to play for him. I think he's done a good job of keeping them together. I just don't know if he's a good enough coach to win a Super Bowl.
I've never said he's a bad coach, but he has never shown us that he's a great coach. So we have to sit. He's had a lot of things thrown his way. He's part of picking Zach Wilson. He was part of that decision. Zach Wilson was terrible. And that said, he's never really had a great team to coach on both sides of the ball. This year, according to all the experts, he's got a great team to coach. We will finally see if he's a great coach. I'm not saying he's a bad coach.
No.
But he's not shown us he's great.
But even if you're the biggest Robert Saleh supporter, you don't know if he's capable of taking this team to a Super Bowl. He might. We'll see. But there's nothing on his resume that tells you that he is going to be the contributor to it. He's a real good defensive coordinator, but he's never been a head coach before. And he hasn't had a winning season yet. He's had some good things. So listen, Joe Douglas, the same thing. He's made some unbelievable trades. But he also drafted Zach Wilson. He's also produced a team that's got a ton of talent but hasn't been able to win. So there's good and bad in both Saleh and Douglas, but we have not seen this combination work yet. If they have a healthy Rodgers, they should have the team that could put it together. but is Saleh the one that have them cross the goal line? Because I don't think, outside of Mike McCarthy in Dallas, there's been too many times where a questionable coach has won a Super Bowl. And even McCarthy, Michael's got a much better resume than Saleh does. But I'm sorry, this is the one sport where the coach contributes as much as anybody to that championship. We'll see if Robert Saleh can do it.
1-800-919-3776. We'll come back. So much more to do. We'll also address Aaron Boone's somewhat prickly exchange with the guys from Talking Yanks. All of that coming up right here on Yes and ESPN New York.
Big season. More reasons to say yes. Yes to in-game live stats.
What a home run for Soto.
With Strike Zone, pitch by pitch, and player stats. Live stats. Check it out now on the Yes app.
It's Aaron Judge.
Yeah. Sometimes you get the feeling you're watching a Hall of Famer right in the middle of his prime.
The captain is rolling.
They're going to need a longer tape measure.
A monster blast. See ya. Wow.
Prescription, and I've been taking it quite a while myself, and I know it works, and I love it when the customers come back in and tell me, David, that really works so good for me. Makes my day.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription.
Not every decision you make will be as good as getting a Volkswagen at the Savvy VW Summer Sales Event. 2024 Volkswagen models cost less to maintain than Honda. Get 1.9% APR financing or a $2,500 customer bonus on a new 2024 Tiguan.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. Innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions. Telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org.
Chevy lets you begin every day fully charged, so you can go farther. And so can your money. Tow with confidence. Plus, stay connected with available OnStar technology. For summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Current qualified lessees can get this Equinox for around $199 a month. Or well-qualified buyers get 1.9% APR when you finance with GM Financial.
Popeyes has the best of both wings. Our juicy chicken is marinated to perfection with 2 distinct twists on all 6 flavors. Whether you prefer our spicy bone-in wings or our classic tender white meat boneless wings, we've got the best of both.
Dive into cool summer savings with a new HVAC system from AJ Perry. With payments as low as $132 a month and up to $3,200 in tax credits, now's the perfect time to upgrade. Call 844-668-7555 for a free consultation today.
You can win big on Hard Rock Bet with a little bet.
Yeah.
Or a Post Malone size bet.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't need to know everything about every sport.
Good, because I don't.
Yeah, me either. All you need is a feeling and a phone.
Oh my gosh, I won.
You definitely need a phone.
We're good.
Big payouts for every kind of player. Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us.
Is it possible to be more capable and more practical? Be able to perform here and here. Make a statement while barely making a sound. and command the road, as well as what lies ahead. How we get there matters. Get exceptional offers at your local Audi dealer.
Chris Sheeran back here for the Michael K. Show. This look at tonight's starters in the first of three at the stadium between the Yankees and Cleveland is brought to you by Montefiore Einstein, the official hospital of the New York Yankees. Luis Heel will toe it up and go toe-to-toe with Matthew Boyd. Boyd is making just his second start this season after recovering from Tommy John surgery last season. He held the Cubs to just 1 run on 3 hits over 5 1/3 in his first outing this year. Heel has an ERA under 3 over his last half-dozen outings since changing his grip on his slider, but he struggled his last time out against the White Sox, allowing 4 runs on 7 hits through just 4 innings, needing 98 pitches to navigate those frames. So he'll be looking to bounce back from that. Our coverage for tonight's series opener begins with the batting practice show at 6, followed by the pregame, and first pitch is scheduled to come your way a little after 7. It's the Yankees and Cleveland tonight. Coverage starting at 6 right here on Yes, and streaming, of course, on the Yes app.
Road trip and travel with the home team when New York visits Philadelphia. You and a guest can enjoy the weekend with round-trip train tickets and hotel accommodations. For official rules and to enter, visit the ESPN New York app and click on Travel with the Home Team. All brought to you by Corona, the official cerveza of Major League Baseball, and C4 Energy. Crack open a can of C4 Performance Energy for a sip of the official energy drink of summer. How about that? 1-800-919-3776. Frank in Brooklyn. Frank.
Hi, gentlemen. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
All right. Don, I just wanted to ask you a hockey question, if possible. What the Islanders did in the offseason, do you think it makes them a playoff team? But before you answer, Michael, real quick, on the life insurance policy, you guys can get life insurance policy that's whole life that lasts you the rest of your life. You don't have to get term that goes away.
I didn't know that, but isn't that more expensive?
A little bit more expensive, but it stays you with the whole life. And I got it for both my kids already. Both my kids they're 19 and 17. They both have $25,000 policy for life. It only cost me $25 a month for both of them for 10 years.
All right, good enough. I mean, it's funny. This got a lot of traction, Frank. Why'd we hang up on him? He wanted to ask a question.
He did ask the question, but I'll answer it in a second.
It's just people, this game, who cares what I think? But I will tell you this. If it was a good deal, life insurance wouldn't be made available. Insurance companies are making money off life insurance.
Sure.
I understand why people need it.
Yeah, but there's no right.
There's no right or wrong. Don't follow my advice. I mean, I'm terrible with money.
Really?
Awful.
Yeah, Michael doesn't. He's scared to let anyone get near his money.
I don't invest in stocks.
He just hoards it in a corner and loses money.
He's a mattress guy.
But yeah, if you're, I mean, listen, I'm not talking trash because I'm not great myself, but to just sit on cash is to lose money over time.
I don't sit on cash, all right, Skippy. I mean, don't make it like I'm an idiot.
So what do you do with it then?
I mean, it's in CDs or stuff like that, but there's no risk.
Yeah, right. There's a very, very small.
No, there's no risk other than if the country goes out of business.
So that's very, very low risk. You said
you would think.
I mean, no, you'd think, but I'm saying, but by the way, Don, my point is, you can invest in stocks that are basically the same way. We're the only way. What about mutual funds?
No.
But like Don, mutual funds are basically close to CDs unless the entire country goes under.
But if you invest in a mutual fund in a certain city and that city defaults, then you've lost your money.
Sure, I suppose so. But like, if you were to invest money in things that are widely spread across all kinds of different things, you may go up, you may go down. But unless all kinds of businesses go out of business, you're not losing.
Peter, can I actually say it now? Can I break the news?
Please.
Because we're moving to 8:80 a.m. Peter and I are going to have a financial advice show.
Yeah,
on weekends. Yeah,
it's an AM because it's an AM station.
Yeah,
you got to do some AM things.
But as a great man once said, "How's it working out for Michael?" And it's working out fine.
Don, what was the hockey?
You don't know.
I don't know what really the Islanders did during the offseason anyway. I think it's all going to ride on Sorokin having a bounce-back season because he's a world-class goaltender. But I'll tell you, this division's going to be tough. Carolina's still good. Rangers are still good. The Devils are going to be better. So I'm not sure the Islanders are a lock to make the playoffs, but if Sorokin does bounce back, that can be a bit of an improvement. But I'm not sure really they did anything during the offseason to make you think they're going to be much better than they were last year, other than getting better goaltending.
Let's go to Phil in Patchogue. What's up, Phil?
Hi, Phil.
Hey guys, I've called before, and especially talking to Mike. Mike, I know you love Boone a lot, and a little comparison with him and Salah. I think they're both very knowledgeable, but I think they lack the leadership. I think Boone, with his analytics, he's too much of a patriot or a friend of the players.
Well, then how does he lack leadership then? They would run through a fire for him.
He's too much of a friend, Mike.
But that's the rules of engagement, Phil. You think they're going to bring in Billy Martin if they got rid of Aaron Boone? Are they going to bring in a guy who's going to go toe-to-toe with the players? No.
Did you watch the other night when Stanton hits that fly ball and he ended up on first base and he didn't even move? He didn't even jog. He should have been on second.
I watched that closely because I thought the same thing as you. If he had run hard, he would have been thrown out by 30 feet at second base. He cannot run.
He's got to hustle.
He can't. It's not hustle. He can't run. Let's put it this way. He's incapable of running fast. His body won't allow it.
All right.
So if Aaron Boone yelled at him, that would be like yelling at the fat kid who can't climb the rope. He can't run.
Okay. Well, what about Salah? I mean, do you think that Salah and all this Rodgers stuff, if Bill Parcells was the coach, all this stuff would be going on? I mean,
which stuff do you mean?
It seems like Rodgers is running the team.
Yeah, I don't.
It seem like it. It just that's the circumstances of it.
Whatever Rodgers says or does or this and that,
But Phil, it seems like you're living in 1980, though. So, I mean, Bill Belichick's probably the greatest coach of all time. He doesn't have a job for the reasons that you're saying right now. So you want a hard-ass guy who's going to get in people's faces and discipline them and not allow Aaron Rodgers to call the shots. Well, then Aaron Rodgers wouldn't be a Jet if he wasn't allowed to call the shots. So they made a decision. We will actually let Aaron Rodgers run the team as long as he's here.
What? That's how you feel? You think Rodgers, as the quarterback, should be over?
Not about should.
Not should. He wouldn't be here. He wouldn't be here. They hired Nathaniel Hackett so he could be here, Phil. They picked an offensive coordinator who failed miserably as a head coach in Denver just so they could get Aaron Rodgers. What are we doing here?
They brought in Lazard. They've everything has been built.
They brought in Cobb. They signed Bell. Everything he wanted them to do. All of it stunk. But everything he's wanted, they've given him. Now you're going to, will Bill Parcells allow it? No. Bill Parcells probably wouldn't be coaching this now because we see the closest thing to Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, is not coaching.
Yeah, the world's changed, man.
They don't get it, Don. They want to go back in time. And it's not just in sports. Everybody wants to go back where they think things were better.
And in some cases, it's true, and in some, it's just kind of nostalgic and silly.
But you know what? It's also selective memory, too. I mean, everybody loved Tom Coughlin, but yet Odell did whatever he wanted to. Plexico Burress would miss a meeting and would sit out the first quarter.
And you'll know this, Don. Bill Parcells, really tough disciplinarian. Never did a thing to Lawrence Taylor.
Right. Well, that was good. I was going to bring that up next. Lawrence would always hold out during camp because he didn't feel like doing it. So
he could show up late to meetings because he was LT.
Right, and he'd scream at Phil Simms, but that was all strategic because you figure if I scream at the quarterback, everybody else will pay attention. Listen, I love Bill Parcells, but let's not make him out to be something that he wasn't. And if Bill Parcells coached today, he would probably make the necessary adjustments because that's the way the world is right now. And as Michael just said, the one guy that is like Bill Parcells is Bill Belichick, and nobody wanted to hire him. Because I think we're getting out of the business of that now. But just because of the money that he forfeited, everything that Aaron Rodgers means to this organization, he now becomes the guy that's in charge.
And if you read Ian O'Connor's book, they flew to Malibu, or wherever the heck he lives on the Pacific Ocean.
Malibu.
And begged him. Christopher Johnson, Woody Johnson.
Yeah.
Everybody was there on their hands and knees begging him. So whatever he asked for, they would have given him. Now all of a sudden you're going to be the tough guy and go, oh, no, Rodgers, you got to show up for that mandatory minicamp. How'd that work out? People, it's 2024. It's not 1982. He didn't give me an answer. What did Phil want Boone to do on the Stanton fly ball? What did he want him to do? Go out in the field, grab him by the throat, and pull him into the dugout? The guy literally can't run. Literally cannot run.
I really don't know what it is they want anymore from the guy. Honestly, it's crazy. They've decided they hate him and blame him for everything, and they're not going to be happy till he's gone.
I'm a 63-year-old man. I was never fast when I was young. And if I had a 40-yard dash with Giancarlo Stanton, I would not lose by that much. And Peter would beat him.
Oh, yeah, no question. I'm not even thinking about it.
But you want him to run to second base where he would have been thrown out by 30 feet because that would make you feel better that he was running hard. He can't run hard. Every time he tries to run hard, he pulls a muscle and he's out for a month. Is that what you want? Goodness gracious, people, stop it. You got to realize what you're watching. I just want to give you a little tip. When you watch the Yankees tonight or the Mets, you're not watching it on black and white TV with rabbit ears. It's 2024. There's streaming, there's 4K, the whole deal. You're not in the past anymore, and it's not coming back. Billy Martin's not walking through that door, dude. Neither is Bill Parcells. Don, tell us about Mazda, please.
There you go. Get it.
Make this a summer to share in the three-row Kia Sorento, the tech-forward Sportage, the available all-wheel drive Seltos, or the IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus Telluride, each one recommended by Consumer Reports. This summer, visit your local Kia dealer. Get 0.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of select new 2024 Sportage and 2024 Sorento models.
This MLB season, FanDuel is taking you out to every ball game. New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed.
Popeyes has the best of both wings. Our juicy chicken is marinated to perfection with 2 distinct twists on all 6 flavors. Whether you prefer our spicy bone-in wings or our classic tender white meat boneless wings, we've got the best of both.
Chevy lets you begin every day fully charged, so you can go farther. And so can your money. Tow with confidence. Plus, stay connected with available OnStar technology. For summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Current qualified lessees can get this Equinox for around $199 a month. Or well-qualified buyers get 1.9% APR when you finance with GM Financial.
Hi. Deprioritized. But it's a work call. Oh, a work call? Deprioritized.
T-Mobile home internet relies on cell phone towers, so when their network gets busy,
not the fridge, come on.
You can be deprioritized.
It's too bad. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Forget T-Mobile cell phone internet. Get home internet that puts you first. Get Spectrum.
You know, when I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
You said it. You don't have to worry about anything when you're saving dough with America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Sharks, getting trapped in an elevator, dogs with human-like faces, my carbon footprint, my daughter's JV hockey schedule.
To the Acura Summer of Performance event going on now.
Your memory is an amazing thing, but sometimes it can start to slow down. But did you know Prevagen can help keep your memory sharp? The secret is the powerful ingredient apoaquarin, originally discovered in jellyfish and found only in Prevagen. In a clinical study, Prevagen was shown to improve memory in subgroups of individuals who are cognitively normal or mildly impaired. Stay sharp and improve your memory with Prevagen. Prevagen, in stores everywhere without a prescription.
Here comes the heat!
Say hello to the Bronx Buds, Yes's first ever animated series for the whole family.
And the crowd goes wild!
Now streaming. Join Riv, Bash, Oscar, and the rest of their gang for a baseball adventure around the Big Apple.
Bronx Pride is on the line.
Hexland presents Bronx Buds. Now streaming exclusively on the Yes app. Powered by Buy-Cow Auto Mall.
Magnifico.
Big season. More reasons to say yes.
Wow.
Aaron Judge crushes one. Get all the Yankees action on the Yes app. Download now.
The Michael K. Show on Yes is presented by Untuck It. Shirts designed to be worn untucked. Shop now at untuckit.com.
I have no idea where you're going with that one.
Tonight, on an all-new episode of The Story of My Number.
The 52nd episode of The Simpsons is entitled Homer at the Bat. How often do fans ask you about the show?
More than any other thing.
Watch Donnie Baseball on The Story of My Number, presented by the New York Lottery. Tonight after the Yankees postgame on Yes.
I have sickle cell. I've had lots and lots of blood transfusions over my lifetime. I'm most grateful that people are willing to go out there and take their time, their blood, and give me new life.
Off home run by Francisco Alvarez, green light on 3-0, and both New York teams were thrilled. Both New York fan bases were thrilled. The Mets win, the Orioles lose. So that means the Yankees move into first place by a half game, and they'll play the Orioles 2 more times tonight and tomorrow, the Mets, and then the Yankees start a 3-game set against the Guardians, and that's tonight at Yankee Stadium. So both teams are actually home these next couple of days. Earlier today, which they do on Tuesday, Aaron Boone did his weekly segment with Talking Yanks. And that's Jimmy and Jake. And you know what? There are times that Aaron Boone gets a little testy with Jimmy and Jake. And you know what? Too bad. You signed a deal where you're essentially talking to fans. And that's what makes Jimmy and Jake so identifiable to people and so popular. They're Yankee fans. And they're going to ask you questions, not knowing the background and not worried about the analytics and stuff like that. They're just going to spit it out there. Just like a fan would if they had an opportunity to sit down with Boone.
That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is. And that's why you can't really get the hair on the back of your neck standing up if you're Aaron Boone. You took the money from them. You got to know exactly what kind of questions they're going to answer. And I don't think like he's being rude to them, but he is being snippy. So I get it. And that maybe that's part of the allure of the spot. But they're going to ask you questions you're not going to like.
I'll throw back in Boone's defense.
Okay.
In specifically the most testy clip, John Boy's definitely going for it. He's got a nice little bit of attitude in there too.
Absolutely, that's what a fan would do.
Yeah, but a very confident fan. Not most fans would speak that boldly. I mean, that's what makes it an appealing thing, right? Yeah. Is that you're hearing this very bold fan, but I can understand why Boone is not necessarily expecting that level of combativeness from the fans turned podcasters who pay him to come on. They both are playing their part and making it interesting.
But that's what makes them popular, as you mentioned. And part of the rules of engagement, I think Aaron knows it. And there's been a couple of times over the 2 years that he's done it with them that you could see he gets a little ticked off. So the one that Peter's talking about, let's listen to it right now. Jimmy, this is Jimmy asking the question about the struggles recently of Anthony Volpe.
We talked about maybe giving Volpe a spell, a rest. You said you were considering it, but then Jazz got hurt.
Consider it when he took the ball off the foot, but he's through that now. The last, 10 days or so, he's kind of been in that little bit of offensive funk that I feel like he'll get there.
What's there on Volpe? Because he's great defensively, so that allows, you don't need him to be a juggernaut offensively.
Come on, man. This guy's a player. The defense is great. We acknowledge that. That's enormous. He's the best shortstop in the league.
Defensively,
And he's hitting like a league average or below league average hitter.
Well below, yeah.
Add it all up, he's a winning player. Like, stop it.
I mean, I can say stop it back if I want. I disagree.
So has 2 good offensive weeks, and he's a 720 OPS and the best defender in the league. You got yourself a pretty damn good player right there. He's going to get there. It's not linear. It's not just shoot to the moon.
Yes, but last year, you ran him the whole year. We were told he got run to the ground and he was tired. Here he is, last 200, plate appearance 241 on base, 582 OPS. Like,
there's definitely a case in there where I could have given him a day here and there, absolutely. But to just have him not in the lineup, next question. Seriously, when you run the team, you can make that call.
Interesting. Now, I think the whole Volpe situation is incredibly interesting because he does bring incredible value as a defender. And they don't have another shortstop that even comes close to approximating his Gold Glove level skills at shortstop. So even if he's not hitting, the Yankees feel that he's worth it. But, you know, talk about league average. He's barely league average. He's hitting 247. I think baseball's average is 244. He has 11 home runs. He has 46 ribbies, 680 OPS, which isn't good. And with runners in scoring position, he's hitting 205. And his on-base percentage is under 300. So one of his skills that you really want to take advantage of is his stolen base skill. He's not on base enough. Let me give you other numbers that kind of jump out at you. And I'm an Anthony Volpe fan, okay? So first 62 games of the year, Don and Peter, hit 290. Next 35, he hit 171. Next 16, he hit 353. Last 11, he hit 095. I mean, the swings are astonishing. Now, to make it easier, he's played in 124 games, right? The first 62 games, he hit 290. The last 62 games, he's hit 206. So I don't think it's unreasonable to ask what's going on. Now, you can also look at the overall numbers and say, the guy had 209 last year. He's at 247 now. He's a work in progress. He's just 23 years old. As long as he gives you top-flight defense at shortstop, I agree with Boone. You keep running him out there. But you can't just turn a blind eye to the fact that when he's in a slump, he looks totally lost. And when he's red hot, he looks, wow, this guy's going to be just an absolute superstar. But people have to remember, he's just 23 years old. And Joel Sherman called up Brian Cashman today and said, he said, I'm not advocating for it, but would you consider sending Volpe down to the minors just for a reset? And Brian said no. He's too valuable defensively, and we think he's going to be fine offensively. The Yankees are committed to this guy. And this is the first time, Don and Peter, that Yankee fans are starting to murmur a little bit about Volpe. And the only reason is that when he slumps, it's such a long slump. And then when he gets hot, it's equally long. So it's a real ebb and flow of a season. But I thought that Aaron kind of reacted a little bit too angrily for what I thought were legitimate questions. I wouldn't bench him. And Aaron Boone said, all Aaron Boone had to say was, you know, he's a work in progress offensively. He's still above league average. He's a Gold Glove winning shortstop. He's worth more to us in the field than he is on the bench.
That's it. I don't know why he got so frustrated with it. I don't think they got overly contentious.
Well,
they just weren't backing down.
The clip's kind of edited, though, isn't it? It's kind of hard to tell exactly where things.
Well, I mean, the only thing that was contentious, Peter, was when something like Boone said, well, calm down. And then Jimmy said, well, I could tell you to calm down.
Or stop it. Or something
stop
like
it,
that,
yeah.
Well, and then the whole you can make out the lineup. Like I don't like that. I mean, they're agreeing to disagree, and also. It wasn't even that as much because he did agree. Maybe I could have given him a day off here or there.
Yeah, he agreed.
So they weren't really that different. It just I do think he just gets tired of constantly being questioned.
Well, he also feels the crux of Boone's argument in that was that he feels that, and again, maybe there's more to the conversation that we didn't hear in our clip, that he feels like the John Boy guys are downplaying what it is to have a fielder who's that exceptional.
Probably. And
he
I
was
think
frustrated
also,
that you're just talking about his bat when he's like, no, he's literally one of the, maybe the best defensive shortstop in baseball. You can't just kind of blow past that as if it's a small fry, which I understand.
But when you're talking to Jimmy and Jake, right, any manager or GM who says that they're not monitoring social media, they're lying. They know exactly what's being said. So this is the manifestation of all those faceless, voiceless people that are screaming how much they hate what's going on Twitter. And now these two guys, because you paid for it, they have the opportunity to throw all of that stuff that probably makes Boone recoil, and he has to answer these questions. Again, you take the money, you play the game.
Yeah, 100%. This is what you signed up for, literally.
Now, they also asked about, what was that? I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I know he's in lockstep, as you say, with all the analytics and stuff, but it could also get contentious for him because maybe he realizes these are things that he might speak up to and get shot down when they have the collective argument on whether he should sit.
That's an interesting point, too.
You know, because the one thing I hate doing is arguing for somebody else. Like, I'll advocate for myself and my feelings, but, you know, where I'm going to probably get frustrated is that yeah, I need a little help here because I actually agree with you, but when I brought it up to my superiors last night, you know, this is what they told me, and it just, now you're arguing for somebody else instead of for yourself.
But I do truly believe, and I agree with Boone, he's valuable in the field, even if he hits 200. Right. I mean, they rode him all last year at 209. With all the strikeouts and stuff like that, 209 with an under 300 on-base percentage because he won a Gold Glove. He was really good at shortstop.
Right. But these are certain luxuries that sometimes you can't have, Michael, when you only have two guys that are hitting. And then the one other guy that could hit can't face lefties because he's a catcher and can't play every day. And Stanton can get injured at any second. Like, so they still have a lot of that issue offensively. They didn't hit well on that road trip.
Well, let's put it this way, Don, in answer to your question. I think Anthony Volpe is the least of their problems. I mean, Verdugo's hitting 233.
Yeah.
LeMahieu's hitting 194. Gleyber Torres is at 237. Anthony Volpe's the least of your problems. He's probably the third best hitter on the team if you take Austin Wells out. So, yeah, he's had really big swings. Greatness, awful. Greatness, awful. He's still growing. He's still learning. Yeah. Now, they also asked him about Clay Holmes. Here's that exchange.
Just kind of a bad combination. Besides Volpe, the infield doesn't grade out well this year. You guys are middle of the pack in shifting, and you get beat, and sometimes you get stopped. Ground balls aren't the best recipe for the team, so to have those happening in those moments, it just seems like we're doomed for what you in baseball might consider bad luck.
I wouldn't say bad luck, more unfortunate. My point is he's been very consistent all year with what his stuff is, the contact he's generating. We got to help turn some more balls into outs, but we're not a perfect team, okay? But we have the ability to beat anyone, and we got to try our best to do that and put ourselves in the best situations to do that.
One thing that I would push back, and you know, the worst nightmare for anybody with these guys is that you've got a situation where they know their stuff. They know all the numbers and stuff like that. So you're not just arguing with a fan that doesn't know the analytics. They know the analytics. But you got a guy who's a contact-oriented closer, right? And when you look at that infield, there's one plus defender, Anthony Volpe. Everybody else is not.
Right. And it was a little awkward too. It's like I wouldn't say it's bad luck. I just say unfortunate. That's kind of the same thing.
Right. Yeah, I didn't understand that line either.
Yeah, you put the ball in play and you're average defensively. This is going to happen.
You know what I think? If I'm Aaron Boone, what frustrates me the most about having these conversations with the John Boys of the world is baseball has done this to itself. You guys, you baseball people, are so obsessed with stats, more so than any other major sport. It's a different level. I know there are NBA nerds who really dive in that way. It's not my cup of tea. But you're so married to them in baseball that if you're a fan and you know the stats, you really can sort of win an argument.
Yeah.
Like you can just literally throw down the stats, and that's it. And I think that's stupid. I think it removes, as we talk about sometimes, the eye test and heart and all those different things. But that's the way the game has now been set up, where you discuss it, you throw out numbers, that's it.
And again, I'm not getting on those guys because we're in the same situation. Like Michael just said, they have the numbers. So really, you're interviewing somebody, you know the answer to the question.
Right.
So what do you expect? You know what Aaron Boone's going to say.
But they're pushing back.
Right, but then it just becomes, guys, I told you. This is what the numbers say. See, back in the day when they construct these interviews, what were you thinking? Well, we know what you were thinking. We know exactly what you were thinking because you've got the numbers and they've got the numbers, so we know what the whole deal is.
But the Yankees teams have better numbers than us, than Jimmy and Jake have. I mean, they got deeper numbers than even what are made available to us.
Right.
And they can spin those numbers whichever way they want. They got a number forever. If you have a number that says you're wrong, they have a number that says they're right.
But still, so they're doing what the numbers are telling them to do. So even if I don't have the numbers, I know the numbers are the answer. Like, Aaron Boone's not going to be like, oh, I just had a gut in Detroit that he was going to get it done. Or if he pitches tonight, I just think he's going to turn it around. If that's the answer, then that's a good answer. We can really get into that. But if the numbers, no matter who they are, where they come from, how deep they go, you talk about spinning it, you're still spinning it. The answer is the spin that we think gives us the best chance to win.
Let's go to Danny in Queens. Danny.
Hey, guys, how are you?
Good.
Hey. I think the frustration of most of the fans with a lot of these comments is they put these spins on it. They try to spin things a certain way that just don't seem like they're being honest with themselves even. I mean, you got Boone pushing back there saying Volpe's having a tough 10-game stretch, and he's very close, or he could be very close to getting right back to that good place where he was earlier in the year in June, July. The 10-game stretch is not the anomaly. The anomaly was that good 2 weeks that he had, or the good month in the beginning of the year, because this is what he's been for two years already. He's been hitting like this. You know, they talk about Wells and Trevino and the lefties and when they need to sit. If you needed to get Wells off his feet, and that's the reason you're not playing him, why did you pinch him the other day? Wells needs to get off his feet a day after an off day when he hasn't played 2 of the 3 games in the previous series either. He's hitting better than Trevino was this year against lefties. And not only that, when you put Trevino in there, you lose the ability to throw guys out on base too. That's something that other teams are taking advantage of too. I just don't understand their thinking with some of these things.
I think, I think some of the answers are very tough, Danny, where if he says it, he kind of shows his hand a little bit too much. Because the answer to why do you keep running Holmes out there, we don't have anybody better. That's the answer.
Right.
The answer with Austin Wells and Trevino, Trevino's a Platinum Glove winner. He's, at this point, a better defender than Wells, although Wells has been much better than any of us thought. And pitchers probably want to pitch to Wells, or they want to pitch to Trevino. So he's not going to say that, but I guarantee you the rest of the way that Garrett Cole is going to pitch to Trevino. So he can't say those things. So he's got to, give you some kind of word salad.
But what's interesting to me is, we can spin the numbers any way we want. When I say spin, if I say Peter's spinning something, he's got a motivation behind why he wants that certain number to come out. Isn't the motivation always to give yourself the best chance to win? They're not spinning anything because they're rooting for Holmes to be the closer because he's related to somebody in the organization. There's no ulterior motive here.
Right, they think he gives them the best chance.
Right, so that's always the answer.
But I don't think people want to hear that because they go, well, he's blown 10 saves. How does he give you the best chance? Because he's better than anybody else out there.
Right, because then all it is kind of like sensitivity training. The numbers tell them this gives them the best chance to win. You may disagree with it, but if it's all about the numbers, clearly they want to win. The Yankees have no other mission but to win the game tonight. So whatever they do, they're doing it for the immediate or the long-term health of the team. So they're not spinning it for any kind of sordid reason. They know the reason. That's the reason they're doing it. But the reason he has to walk a fine line is because sometimes those numbers tell you that a player's not very good. And he doesn't want to have to say that.
Let's go to Jack in Medina. What's up, Jack?
Hey, Jack.
Hi, Mike. Hi, guys. One thing, Peter hit on a great thing. These guys, this John Boy, whatever they are, they might know the numbers as much as they think they do, as much as Boone. Here's the one thing they don't know, unless somebody's telling them. They don't know what Boone knows. Let's say a particular player, he's got some other issue going on in his life or whatever. That plays into what Boone does with him. If he thinks the guy's head's not in the game or whatever, he knows that stuff. These guys on that show don't, which leads to my next question to you, Mike. I know he gets paid, but is Aaron Boone required by Yankee management to go on these shows? Because to me, I'll be honest with you, these guys may know stuff, but they come across as a couple of snobs, kind of. They're trying to get they're trying to get to him.
Well, no, Yankees don't force him to do anything. I think the one thing he has to do is to do his 3-minute pregame on FAN before the game with Susan. But, he's taking the money. That's why he's doing it. He's getting money.
And
he doesn't have to.
And I thought
he doesn't have to put up with any of it.
And I thought the analytics kind of don't buy into a lot of the things that caller was saying, like mood and what's happening off the field. I don't think a lot of these reasons are him hiding something nefarious back in the. I think they're just going by the numbers. Right? The analytics don't believe in, well, you had a divorce, so you're going to have to sit down, or you're having trouble with your girlfriend, or somebody died in your family. I thought that didn't factor into the analytics.
And I think, like if somebody is having trouble at home, I think that factors into decisions, whatever the numbers say. But there's not a quantification. I know what you're saying,
right.
But I mean, these are human beings. These are not chess pieces. They're not chips in a computer. Sometimes I think sports makes them all to be like robotic. They're not robotic. They have emotions, they have feelings. If their kid is sick, if they have a fight with their wife, all of that stuff will come into play. He knows stuff that we don't know. They have numbers that we don't have. But he's not going to say that. I know more than you. He does know more than us. Now, you could say, well, he's wrong. Okay, the organization's wrong. You could feel that way. But they are sure that they're right. And the bottom line is who's the last team standing? 1-800-919-3776. We continue with more of this greatness until 6:30, right here on Yes and ESPN New York.
The Michael Kay Show on Yes is brought to you in part by Bigelow Tea, who encourages you to grab a mug and tea proudly.
It's amazing to think that my grandmother started Bigelow Tea right here in New York. And today, we're still a family company. And you have to remember, tea, that's all we do. So every cup counts. That means never compromising. My family won't let that happen. And our extended family, they give their all every single day. And our community, well, they expect that.
I want a cup of Bigelow Tea to be a moment just for you.
That's what I hope for.
Popeyes has the best of both wings. Our juicy chicken is marinated to perfection with 2 distinct twists on all 6 flavors. Whether you prefer our spicy bone-in wings or our classic tender white meat boneless wings, we've got the best of both.
Got that chicken from Popeyes.
Not every decision you make will be as good as getting a Volkswagen at the Savvy VW Summer Sales Event. 2024 Volkswagen models cost less to maintain than Honda. Get 0.9% APR financing or a $3,500 customer bonus on the new 2024 Atlas or Atlas Cross Sport.
You're feeling peanut buttery. Very peanut buttery. Uh-oh, now I'm feeling peanut buttery. Poppable M&M's Peanut Butter Minis.
See ya! A monster home run! First big league at bat! Soaring into history! 62!
Number 300! The fastest man ever! History for Aaron Judge!
Half of young adults are at risk of hearing damage from loud sounds. So why is this happening? We know not to bake in the sun for hours and to get our eyes checked regularly. We buckle up to save lives. And we know that smoking kills. So do poor diet choices and poor life choices. But why are we so reckless with our hearing? We take hearing for granted. Hearing damage from loud sounds is permanent, but preventable. We take common sense steps for our health every day. Let's make hearing part of it. Wear earplugs. Turn it down. Give your ears a rest. Love your ears. Learn more at hearinghealthfoundation.org. Keep listening.
This is the GMC Sierra, powered by the TurboMax engine, with the confidence of 430 pound-feet of best-in-class standard torque. GMC Sierra, it's the truck. Get 1.9% APR on select 2024 Sierra 1500 models, or current eligible GMC owners get over $7,800 total value. We are professional grade GMC.
To get to this hot melty goodness, our pizzas have to go through this.
Topping distribution, horrible. That's fair. Terrible. Pathetic. It's a definite yes.
Introducing Domino's Quality Captains, how perfect pizza gets made.
New Icy Hot Pro Massaging Balm. Easy to grip and massage, and the power of 2 max strength pain relievers. Ice works fast. Heat makes it last. New Icy Hot Pro Massaging Balm.
Listen, I spotted it from the start. Breaking didn't even have a name yet. Bunch of kids from the South Bronx who didn't just knock on the door, they kicked it down. And today, it's your time. It's all about spotting it early. And if you do, no victory is out of reach.
Is it possible to be more capable and more practical? Be able to perform here and here. Make a statement while barely making a sound. And command the road, as well as what lies ahead. How we get there matters. Get exceptional offers at your local Audi dealer.
With ESPN New York. Show us you're listening by uploading a photo of a device playing the ESPN New York app for a chance to win a once-in-a-lifetime experience with your favorite radio host. Head to the contest tile on the ESPN New York app to enter. This week's giveaway is an Islander Suite Night with Rick DiPietro. I'd love to win that. Brought to you by the New York Islanders. Flexible membership plans available to fit any schedule with exclusive benefits and events. Learn more about ticket options for the upcoming Isle season. Call 888-694-7537 or visit NewYorkIslanders.com. Let's go to Will in Sacramento, all the way in Sacramento. What's up, Will?
What's going on, fellas? How you doing?
Good. You?
I'm good. I'm in Sacramento, but I'm originally from the Bronx, so
love it. Cool.
Pete, last few one-ups have been dope, man. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you.
No worries. So I just want to say I'm not a fan of Boone or the John Boy guys for that matter. These guys they're fans that were given like a ridiculous opportunity, and they tend not to ask difficult questions because I think they're just happy that Boone is like a guest on it. And I think that's part of the reason he goes on the show, for the softball questions they ask him at times. But I think
they don't ask softball questions.
Today wasn't softball.
Well, I was about to get to that. Usually they do, Mike. I don't know how often you listen. I listen to them a lot, and they usually do. Today was, yes, very different. But I think it's funny that Boone relies on stats so much, but when he's given the stats that don't go in his favor, he just dismisses them or gets angry. And, he says, when you run the team, I just think that's a corny response. I don't know, man. I'm just not a fan of his. Also, I just wonder, Mike, if you can, or whoever, can you guys give a little behind the scenes on why Boone is no longer on here with you guys?
Yeah, we can give it behind the scenes. I guess we thank you for the phone call. We paid him a lot of money, and then our company decided they didn't want to spend that much money. So he would have been back on with us as well. Although it was the last time he was on with us as part of that agreement was very contentious. Remember, they had been eliminated in the playoffs.
Right.
We had him on for 40 minutes and asked him really tough questions, but I don't think they had it to do. I think it was a financial situation. Now, another thing I'll push back with Will, John and Jake have been given this opportunity. They created this opportunity. They pushed the door down and they've made a career for themselves, and nobody gave it to them. And as for Boone, you're going to throw numbers at him, and he's going to have numbers that are going to counteract that. So your numbers are not the numbers that he's making his decisions off of. He's got secret numbers, super-duper secret, that we don't know about. So we think that we're going to outsmart the decision makers by throwing numbers at them, but they've got even deeper numbers that we can't even think of.
So bring them up. Right, if you're going to ask, then why are you doing it? Well, whatever numbers you're digging up, let us know what they are.
Let's go to Ryan in Connecticut. Ryan.
Hey, Michael, question for you. You think Boone's a little overprotective of the players? It seems like, in these post-game media, he's just saying, oh, he's hitting a rough patch or he's going through it right now. But I feel like he needs to say, he's not playing at the level he needs to be at. He needs to perform at a higher level. It just kind of seems like these guys are playing in New York. They can take it, but I don't know if Boone sees it the same way. I feel like he needs to put it on the players a little bit more.
Well, let's have a discussion here, Ryan, because this is interesting. A lot of people. To what end? So he says a player sucks. What does that do for him?
I'm not saying you need to word it like that, but you kind of got to put it in a way where
But you're asking him, Ryan, to make you happy. He has to make his players happy. That's his job description. So if he's going to rip somebody publicly, that's not what he's supposed to do. That's not what the organization wants him to do. So you want to pound the flesh by him saying he's not playing up to his capabilities. He knows they're not playing up to the capabilities, but to what end him actually articulating that helps him?
I just think, you got to look at it what you were saying before, where you're saying they don't pay attention to the fans. They absolutely pay attention to the fans. Mm-hmm. And what the fans are saying is that Boone steps into these press conferences after every single game and is just protecting these guys. And as the fans, we're looking at it saying, this guy needs to be better. We kind of want to hear it from him as well.
I get it. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but that's not the way it's done. He's not going to do it. He's not going to sacrifice a relationship with a player to make you or the fans happy. Yeah, they're very aware of what fans think, but they really, truly believe in it. Not just the Yankees, so don't throw them all into one corner of the sports universe. It's everybody. You got to be nice to players. You have to have relationships with players. You have to, how's everything going? It's got to be very touchy-feely, ooey-gooey. It's not Billy Martin and Earl Weaver. It's just not.
So I'm wondering why, from the fan perspective, if you know what the answer is going to be. So why even bother paying attention? Well, why not try ripping the players every once in a while? You've said that. It looks like they've got no problem with Holmes, but you know what? Volpe hit better.
But to what end? Do you think that's going to make Volpe hit better?
No, but I'm saying from the fans' perspective, instead of always hammering Boone, constantly criticizing Boone, why can't you criticize the players? Why don't we get calls saying, why isn't Volpe hitting better? What's going on with him? Can we trust him? Instead of always going after Boone, it's just easy. It's also very lazy analysis. Well, you can't go after the players? When they're slumping, what's going on? Why are they hitting as poorly as they are? The players get protected. The manager's protecting the players. It sounds like the fans are protecting the players. So now, if you want to go after Cashman, fine. He collected the players. He drafted them. He signed them. He got them as free agents or whatever, traded for them. But why is it so easy to rip Boone? Why aren't you ripping the players?
But we've been doing this 23 years. The players get ripped if there's somebody that they don't like. But for the most part, they're going to blame somebody else other than the players not doing their jobs. Yesterday, we're fielding phone calls that it was Boone's fault by our good friend Richard in Manhattan. Boone's fault for actually using Holmes in the ninth inning. Not that Holmes didn't do the job. Don't blame Holmes. Blame Boone. Now, one of our good listeners, TP, says, stop with these super secret numbers things. Those are the same numbers that told them IKF was the best shortstop. Yeah, it was. But just because you don't like the way it turned out, and it might not have turned out well, they think their priority numbers are stuff that you don't know about.
So, but they may be stupid. They may be overemphasized.
But it's still coming from a place of they aren't fishing for numbers for any other reason, but they think that gives them the best chance to win. They might end up being wrong at the end of the day. Like what I would ask TP if he called, what do you think the motivation was for IKF to play? Well, they just liked him? That they have some sort of a bet that he was going to play a certain amount of games during the course of the year. They put him out there because they thought it gave him the best chance to win. That's always going to be the answer.
Yeah, so you're doubting the super secret numbers. Yeah, they thought IKF was just the cat's meow. You know what? It didn't work out. You know who else they thought was great? Their numbers told them he was unbelievable. He was I gotta have him. I gotta have him.
Right.
Joey Gallo. The numbers were wrong, but they had numbers that told them that Joey Gallo was godlike, and it didn't work out. So don't doubt the numbers that they exist. Doubt that they're always right, but don't doubt the numbers exist.
Now, if the Lakers this year keep throwing out numbers on why Bronny has to play, even though he's been terrible, you could say, well, maybe the motivation is because they don't want to tick off LeBron. But I need to know what the conspiracy theory is, why they're playing somebody, or are they trying to intentionally lose? Like, what exactly is the motivate? What is the spin? What are these numbers trying to spin towards? The motivation has to be, at the end of the day, to win games. That's what they're trying to do.
A friend of mine who's a big Yankee fan just texted me and reminded me of something. So the manager that these fans want, okay, is Dallas Green, who every couple of days rip players to shreds in the media. To shreds. They're terrible. They stink. They've got to play better. He didn't make it out of August. And that was when rules were different. Dallas Green couldn't exist today. But that's what they want. Because, again, if a player is ripped by a manager, you know what's going to come out of it? Not the player being better. It's going to be the player resenting the manager. And the manager's most important job in this day and age, manager, coach, whatever, is relationship with players. Well, that's it.
Now, if you want to tell me you want a manager that isn't as much a slave to the analytics, I mean, that's a different conversation. But if you want a manager that rips into people, who does that? Does Bruce Bochy do that? He's the defending World Series championship manager. I don't remember him in San Francisco or Texas calling out players. Now, he may not go by the analytics the way a lot of other managers do, but I don't remember him ripping in the players. Like, who does it? Who are they? Who do they want? Forget about going back to the past. Dallas Green literally managed this team 30 years ago. All right? So who is the current manager that tears in the players?
The only one I can think of is Ron Washington. Tore into Luis Guillorme because he missed a bunt. How's it working out in Anaheim?
Right. And there's like zero pressure and zero attention on that team. There's zero expectations. And, you know, Guillorme is a journeyman. Do you think he was ripping into Mike Trout when he was healthy?
I mean,
you think he was ripping into anybody else that they had healthy there?
Or the caller's suggestion earlier that Boone lay into Giancarlo Stanton?
Right. You think that there were Shohei Ohtani? You think he'd be laying into him?
Listen, I think if you want to give Boone a hard time, and I've mentioned this before, it should be that for the times when maybe he has a spot when he can be a little bit more heavy-handed and a little bit more honest.
Yeah, he's a little too much.
Yeah, like, Michael, you know what I mean? There'll be situations, and he's gotten better at it. He's had a couple in the last month where he did show some frustration. But I think there are some opportunities where he doesn't have to hammer one guy, but he can express frustration and not make it seem like he's okay.
Well, my biggest pet peeve about Aaron is that he puts lipstick on a pig.
That's what I mean.
That's insulting to people. You know, I'm not saying rip the players, but don't put lipstick on a pig. I see some good things. When a guy is like 1 for 40, you're really not seeing good things.
Because then you come across as tone deaf, like you're not even paying attention.
Right.
And we know he's paying attention.
And there are a lot of phrases you can use, Don. You can use, we just can't have that. We've got to be better. Like, there are these phrases you can use which show frustration without burying a player completely.
We do it in our collective jobs, right? I mean, when I'm doing when I did the Jets for 16 years, I mean, I wasn't able to go on the post game show and say that this team is terrible. So it was, they're struggling. You know, they're not getting the job done in certain way. You got to like soft shoe it a little bit, right, Michael? I mean, you can't go out there. I mean, Paul Neal's very good at what he does. He's not going to sit there and say that the players suck. He's going to try to tell you why that they might be struggling a little bit. So there's a dance, but I think you could still be critical without putting the lipstick on a pig.
We have one rule for 23 years at Yes. One. You can say whatever you want. You can criticize whatever player you want. Yeah. Anytime. Just don't hammer it home. Just don't keep hammering it over and over and over and over again every inning. Say whatever you want. Nobody's ever told me not to criticize. Just don't hammer it home and don't make it personal.
I've been told that, and the other, don't make it personal, and also be fair. Like, let your criticism be fair. And if you start name-calling, if you start saying that's the worst player I've ever seen, now you're not being fair. Like that caller, Diane, who said, Clay Holmes, the worst pitcher I've ever seen. That's not being fair.
And not accurate.
It's not. It just that's too much. That's way too over the top. If you want to say struggling shouldn't be the closer, those are all fair comments. He's got the most blown saves in Major League Baseball. That's fair. So there's a way to do it. I think he'd be a little bit fair, but it's one of the reasons he got the job. And I'm kind of curious to see, Michael, because it's not that crazy a thought that the Yankees could win the World Series. It's not that crazy.
No.
So will they fall in love with Boone then? Or will they still hate him? Will they fall in love with Cashman then? Like, I've never seen a team win a championship and people still hate the manager and the general manager. Will they fall back in love with them or fall in love with them for the first time? Or will they continue to hate even if this team wins a trophy?
Kofi just brought... Kofi, listen, we love Kofi. He just brought up a great point. Have you been following the Brian Flores stuff, what Tua Tagovailoa is saying about him?
Yeah.
I mean, he completely destroyed the quarterback. A guy who's now going to be one of the highest-paid quarterbacks in football, and he just said that Brian Flores, all he did was beat him down. So Flores is now at the Vikings, and he said, look, I'm human. What he said hit me in a way that I wouldn't say was positive. I've got to use that and say, how can I grow from that? How can I be better? These athletes are very sensitive. The days of Vince Lombardi or Bear Bryant running people almost to death at Texas A&M, the Junction Boys, they don't exist anymore. The players won't allow it.
And you know it better than anybody, Michael, getting back to like the CC stuff, that you could say something about a player and not even think twice about it, and they'd be upset with it. Like, they don't want any criticism, anything at all, even if it's a fact. These players do not like that at all.
And it's not just the players.
Yeah.
Because a manager told me, a former manager, he said something about a player, very mild, on his post-game press conference. Within 10 minutes, he got called up to the front office, and they told him that player's wife is upset. That's what you're dealing with now. You think Merlin Mantle actually could call up George Weiss and tell him, I don't like what Casey said about Mickey? It's a different world, people. How do you not see it? I'm not saying it's a better world. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's different. Now, everybody hears a post-game show. Wives are really important in this because if they get upset, they go to their husband. The husband gets upset. The husband goes to the PR director. The PR director goes to the radio announcer or the TV announcer. So why did you say this? You upset player X's wife. That's what you're dealing with. So imagine if Aaron Boone said something. Player X stinks. His wife's head would explode.
That's how we always got in trouble, Michael, in the Jet postgame.
Yep.
Because the players' wives would be driving home after the game, and they would get upset. And you know what happened, Michael? Most of the time, they'd go back and listen to the tape. They confused me or Greg with a caller.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
So you'd get a call that they didn't like something, and it would turn out it was just some caller who said it.
Right. Or the caller said it, and Greg and I didn't completely eviscerate the caller for the opinion. So
you let them have a
we
thought.
then ended up taking the opinion. And they're agreeing with the guy. They didn't realize that thanks for the call is a nice retort for you're a moron.
Sometimes, well, in your case, that is a you. I didn't know that until I learned it from you.
Don, why don't you tell us about Mazda?
I could do that in 2 seconds.
The Michael K. Show on Yes is brought to you in part by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center.
At Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, being the Northeast's best cancer center means being the best for you. Pairing the most advanced treatments with the most compassionate treatment. It takes looking at every cancer from every angle. And a care team that looks out for you and everyone you care for. It takes MSK.
For years, one company has battled to deliver business products the next day with no freight charges. Now, WB Mason, with their famous fleet of trucks and drivers, faces their biggest challenge, rescuing shipping and packaging buyers from expensive freight charges. That's right. Now, boxes, stretch film, and packaging tape are delivered the very next day at amazingly low prices. So, who do you call for fast delivery and no expensive freight charges? Who but WB Mason?
Make this a summer to share in the 3-row Kia Sorento, the tech-forward Sportage, the available all-wheel drive Seltos, or the IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus Telluride, each one recommended by Consumer Reports. This summer, visit your local Kia dealer. Get 0.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of select new 2024 Sportage and 2024 Sorento models.
I have no idea where you're going with that one.
Tonight, on an all-new episode of The Story of My Number.
The 52nd episode of The Simpsons is entitled Homer at the Bat. How often do fans ask you about the show?
More than any other thing.
Watch Donnie Baseball on The Story of My Number, presented by the New York Lottery. Tonight after the Yankees postgame on Yes.
That's the ketchup? No. Dad, are you okay?
Yeah, just stressed out.
Oh, and the melody is sounding so much better. I can play it for you. Wait, where's your guitar?
I gave it to your cousin.
What? That guitar's like your favorite thing.
I don't need it anymore. Some days are just better than others.
I think you should go talk to someone.
It's not that easy.
Have you been thinking about suicide? You can talk to me, Dad.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. Our incredible same-game parlay gets even better when you add Profit Boost. You can still combine all of your favorite selections to increase your potential winnings, but now we're giving you the option to boost your profit up to an extra 30%. Look out for a Profit Boost on select games and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365.
This is the GMC Sierra, powered by the TurboMax engine, with the confidence of 430 pound-feet of best-in-class standard torque. GMC Sierra, it's the truck. Current eligible GMC lessees can get this low-mileage lease on this 2024 Sierra Elevation for around $389 per month. We are professional-grade GMC.
Don't let a clogged gutter rain on your parade. Protect your home with LeafGuard, the only one-piece seamless gutter system guaranteed to never clog, no matter the weather. Never clean your gutters again with LeafGuard. LeafGuard's patented seamless design keeps leaves, pests, and sediment out while directing water away from your home, preventing wood rot and foundation decay, giving you peace of mind that your home and family are protected from water damage with the industry's premier maintenance-free gutter system. LeafGuard is the smartest solution in gutter protection, proudly protecting your home by getting it right the first time for a lifetime. From manufacturing to installation, LeafGuard handles the entire process from start to finish. Invest in your home with a company you can trust. Call 833-LeafGuard right now for a free estimate and save 20% plus $500 off your purchase and installation. LeafGuard, get it today, protected for life.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions about your life, your career, and everything in between that we've uncovered. They're all centered on numbers. Some of the numbers might be familiar to you, but they all add up to tell your story.
The Story of My Number, presented by the New York Lottery. Streaming now exclusively on the Yes app.
Chris Sheeran back here for the Michael Kay Show. Oswaldo Cabrera has been a burst at the bottom of the Yankees lineup, giving the team a lift offensively and defensively throughout the season, especially since the All-Star break with the bat. In 17 games since the break, he's hitting over 300. 5 of his 15 hits have gone for extra bases, and over his last 7 games, he's hitting 400. Our coverage for tonight's series opener begins with the batting practice show at 6, followed by the pregame and first pitch is scheduled to come your way a little after 7. It's the Yankees in Cleveland tonight. Coverage starting at 6 right here on Yes, and streaming, of course, on the Yes app.
It's a late one, too. It's rare.
Yeah, it's good work. I'm not writing home about it. You know, but
You're just jealous.
Yeah, I am. But I mean, listen, it's a base hit. You know, he didn't hit a home run.
So I just
solid contact.
I just walked away. Yeah, I'll be honest. I went to the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
And so my lineup sheet, to me, it's a work of art. It's got information on it and everything. I'll hold it up for those that are watching on Yes.
Yeah, you care.
It fell down for some reason, and there's all like I dropped a T
there's feces.
before,
There's feces on it,
and it's completely. I don't even know whether to do it again or just work it like this.
You know what, Michael, you got to do it again.
No, I can't. I don't have the time. I don't have the time, Don. I mean, that would be my initial reaction to
It's
do
not
it
even
again.
a great story. Like I keep all my notes from all games that I've done.
I throw them
even
out.
going back to old like Jet pre and post from like 20 years ago. And sometimes
insane.
it's an interesting story. You see like my fingerprint in Buffalo wings. Oh yeah, that's when we were over at Hooters eating wings during the game.
Well, yeah, they'll put that in the NHL museum one day.
But that's not even in the. That's not even a great story. He dropped it on a floor, Peter. Where he is right now on the floor.
Yeah, nothing.
Oh, it's
my
filthy.
God! Like they could. It's DNA of like civilizations that rotted.
I mean, you could
years
get
ago.
consumption just by looking at it.
Really, it's bad.
Now, the only thing that worries me about this, let's say Louis Seal pitches a perfect game.
Right.
Then I've lost a souvenir that I could frame.
Well, you don't think it'll dry, Michael?
Yeah, but it's still stained.
Well, that's cool.
It'll give it that like earthy kind of.
Yeah, then it gives it. Then it becomes a bit of a something.
Earthy.
So Don, how many notes do you have for each game?
Yeah, you're out of your mind.
I just kept.
Do you plan to go to the Hall of Fame and like donate it to them?
How many pages of notes for each game?
No, for a jet pregame, I'd have like 2 or 3 pages of notes for the pregame, and then I would write down every play.
And you have all of those for 20 years.
I have all of those spiral notebooks.
Well, you know what? You're a hoarder. We've already said that about
Don, you are
for
out
hockey,
of your gourd.
I have 1 page for the pre.
Okay.
And then if I'm calling the game, I don't write anything down because I'm calling the game. But if it's a game I'm just doing the pre and post, then I will write down like the key plays. And that might take it 2 or 3 pages depending on how active a game it is.
Peter, I used to be self-important like Don, too. So I'd save every scorecard from all the years. And then I just decided this is all going in the garbage. Nobody cares. When I die, my kids are going to have to deal with it. Let me just do it now.
Wait a minute. Well, let that be up to them. Yeah, there is a very good possibility that they will just throw it all into a big dumpster and like, why'd I even bother?
Right.
But you don't think that they might think it's cool if Marco turns out to be a big sports fan or Jalen?
No, I think he's going to look at it. Here's what you're doing. You're putting a burden on your children. That's what you're doing.
Now, listen, Don, you are going to have things that they're going to like and want to keep.
Right.
These are not those things.
Interesting.
Yeah, these are garbage.
All it is, Peter, somebody who really is impressed with himself. Oh, this stuff has prosperity.
I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's it. By the way, goodbye to Yes, the big batting practice show.
Probably turn on ESPN New York.
That's a wrap on the show for today. Coming up next, our coverage of the Yankees in Cleveland gets underway with Yankees batting practice today. For all of us here on the Michael Kay Show, this is Chris Sheeran saying have a great night. We'll see you again tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
That's Aaron Judge. Yeah. Sometimes you get the feeling you're watching a Hall of Famer right in the middle of his prime.
The captain is rolling.
They're going to need a longer tape measure.
A monster blast. See ya. Wow.
Big
season, more reasons to say yes. Yes to pick and play jackpots up to $25,000. Yes to in-game action and live chats with Pick and Play Live. Check it out now on the Yes app.
Get your ideal combination of power and capability. And experience hands-free highway driving technology with Ford Blue Cruise, available on select vehicles. It's the Make It Ford Summer Sales Event, so make it yours. Make it now. Returning lessees can now lease a Ford F-150 for just $299 a month for 24 months, only at your local Ford stores.
I'm former Major League pitcher David Wells. Over the years, I've been helping veterans get the medical resources they need and help them overcome their challenges. They've sacrificed so much for our country, and it's our duty to take care of them when they come home. Join us in our mission to end veteran homelessness in America. Please go to T2T.org